Welcome, dear wanderer, to a quiet journey through the hidden world of plants. Close your eyes, if you like, and let your breath slow in and out as we drift into secrets whispered by roots and leaves. These green souls, older than our oldest tales, hold mysteries that hum beneath the earth, sway in the breeze, and bloom under starlight. Tonight, we'll uncover their gentle wonders, facts that cradle your mind, soft as moss, steady as an ancient oak. Imagine yourself sinking into a meadow, the air warm, the world still, each word a petal falling, each pause a moment to rest. Let go of the day, feel the calm settle, and let these plant secrets carry you into a peaceful, dreamy haze. Here we go. Plants can talk to each other using chemical signals. Imagine a forest, quiet and still. To the untrained eye, it might seem like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, a hidden conversation is taking place. Plants, though silent, are masters of communication. They talk to each other using chemical signals, a phenomenon known as plant communication or allelopathy. When a plant is attacked by insects or other herbivores, it doesn't just sit idly by. Instead, it releases volatile organic compounds or VOCs into the air. These chemicals act like a distress signal, alerting nearby plants to the danger. In response, the neighboring plants ramp up their defenses, producing chemicals that make their leaves less palatable to the invaders. But that's not all. Some plants take communication a step further. Through their roots, they release chemicals into soil that can inhibit the growth of competing plants. This process, called allelopathy, ensures that they have access to the resources they need to thrive. One of the most fascinating examples of plant communication comes from the sagebrush plant. In the 1980s, scientists discovered that when sagebrush plants were damaged by insects, nearby plants increased the production of defensive chemicals. It was as if the damaged plants were sending out a warning cry, and their neighbors were heeding the call. Tomato plants also engage in this kind of communication. When attacked by caterpillars, they release VOCs that alert neighboring plants to the threat. In response, those plants produce chemicals that make their leaves less appealing to the pests. And then there's the wood wide web, an underground network of fungal connections that link plant roots. Through this network, plants can share nutrients and even send distress signals. It's a hidden world of cooperation and communication, one that challenges our understanding of what it means to be a plant. This secret reveals that plants are far more dynamic and interconnected than we once thought. They may not have voices, but they have a language all their own, one that speaks in chemicals and whispers through the air and soil. Some plants can remember stress through epigenetic changes. Plants don't have brains, but they have something almost as remarkable, the ability to remember stressful events. This secret revolves around epigenetic changes, modifications to their DNA that affect gene expression without altering the genetic code itself. When a plant experiences stress, whether it's drought, extreme temperatures, or an attack by herbivores, it can tag certain genes with chemical markers. These tags act like bookmarks, helping the plant respond more effectively if the stress recurs. It's a form of memory, one that allows plants to adapt and survive in a changing environment. Take the Arabidopsis plant, for example. In experiments, scientists exposed these plants to cold stress and observed epigenetic changes that helped them tolerate future cold snaps. It was as if the plants were learning from their experiences, preparing themselves for whatever challenges lay ahead. Wheat plants also exhibit this kind of memory. Those that experienced drought conditions were better able to survive subsequent droughts, thanks to epigenetic changes that helped them conserve water and protect their cells. And then there are the plants that remember being eaten by herbivores. When attacked, they produce defensive chemicals that make their leaves less palatable. But here's the fascinating part. If they're attacked again, they respond even faster, as if recalling the previous encounter. This secret highlights the resilience and adaptability of plants. They may not have brains, but they have a kind of memory, one that helps them navigate the challenges of their environment. Plants have immune systems to defend against pathogens. Just like animals, plants have immune systems that protect them from pathogens like bacteria, viruses, and fungi. The secret explores how plants detect and fight off invaders, using a combination of chemical signals and physical barriers. when a pathogen attacks. Plants have specialized receptors that recognize its presence. These receptors detect pathogen-associated molecular patterns, or PAMPs, and trigger a defense response. Sometimes, the plant sacrifices infected cells to prevent the spread of disease, a process known as a hypersensitive response. But plants don't stop there. After infection, some develop long-lasting immunity to a wide range of pathogens. This is called systemic acquired resistance, or SAR. It's like the plant version of a vaccine, providing protection against future attacks. One key player in plant immunity is salicylic acid, a compound similar to aspirin. When a plant is infected, it produces salicylic acid, which helps activate defense genes and coordinate the immune response. This secret reveals that plants are not passive victims of disease. They are active defenders, equipped with sophisticated systems to detect and fight off pathogens. The silent sentinel, unraveling the 5,000-year life of a bristlecone pine. Imagine standing before a living thing older than the Great Pyramid of Giza, older than the invention of the wheel, older even than the first written word. It's not a towering giant or a mythical creature. It's a gnarled, twisted tree clinging to a rocky mountainside. Meet the bristlecone pine, Pinus longiva, widely recognized as Earth's oldest known living organism. Some of these ancient sentinels have stood for over 5,000 years, their weathered branches tracing a timeline through human history and beyond. What secrets do they hold? How they endured when empires rose and fell. This is the story of a tree that defies time itself, the science of survival. The bristlecone pine thrives in one of the harshest environments imaginable, the high-altitude deserts of the American West, particularly the White Mountains of California. Here, at elevations exceeding 10,000 feet, the air is thin, the soil is poor, and water is scarce. Yet these conditions are precisely what allow the bristlecone to live so long. Its growth is excruciatingly slow, sometimes adding just a millimeter to its girth in a decade, because resources are so limited. This glacial pace reduces wear and tear on its cells, letting it outlast species that sprint through their life cycles. Scientists use dendrochronology, the study of tree rings, to confirm their age. Each ring, a faint whisper of a year gone by, tells a story of drought, fire, or fleeting abundance. One bristlecone, discovered in 2012 and nicknamed Old Chico, though that name originally belongs to the Swedish spruce, has been dated to around 5,067 years old, sprouting around 3050 BCE. Its exact location is kept secret to protect it, but its existence is a testament to resilience. Unlike annual plants or even mighty oaks, the bristlecone's wood is dense and resinous, resisting rot and insects. When parts of it die, limbs or roots, it simply keeps going, funneling energy into what remains. It's less a single organism and more a living mosaic, adapting piece by piece. Fascinating fragments of a long life. Among the bristlecones, a few individuals stand out as legends. Take Methuselah, a 4,855-year-old specimen, as of 2025, still alive in the White Mountains. Its precise spot is undisclosed, guarded like a national treasure, but photographs reveal a tree that looks more like a sculpture, twisted, sparse, and hauntingly beautiful. Methuselah was already ancient when the first pharaohs ruled Egypt. Then there's a tragic tale of Prometheus, another bristlecone cut down in 1964 by a graduate student studying climate records. When its rings were counted, it clocked in at over 4,900 years old, older than any human civilization at the time of its felling. The loss sparked outrage and spurred efforts to protect these trees. Their appearance is as striking as their age. Bristlecones don't tower. Most are under 60 feet tall, their bark peeling in strips, their branches contorted by wind and time. Some look dead, with only a thin strip of living tissue connecting roots to needles. Yet those needles can live for decades themselves, up to 40 years, longer than many houseplants survive in total. And they've seen it all. Ice ages waning, volcanic eruptions darkening skies, and humanity's slow crawl from stone tools to spaceflight. One tree's rings even capture the faint echo of a supernova observed in 1054 CE, a cosmic event etched into its wood. What it means to outlast time. The bristlecone pine's longevity isn't just a biological marvel. It's a window into our planet's past and a mirror for our future. Their rings are a climate archive, revealing patterns of wet and dry spells over millennia. Scientists have used them to calibrate carbon dating and reconstruct ancient environments, showing how Earth breathed long before we did. One study from Nature in 2018 linked bristlecone data to a global cooling event around 1500 BCE, hinting at volcanic triggers we'd otherwise never suspect. But their survival raises deeper questions. Why them? Is it pure chance that these trees, in their desolate corners, dodge the axes and fires that claimed others? Their existence challenges our obsession with speed and scale. Bigger, faster, more. The bristlecone suggests another way. Slow, steady, enduring. In a world racing toward climate upheaval, they stand as a lesson in resilience. Conservationists now fight to shield them from tourism and warming temperatures, which can invite pests or disrupt their delicate balance. If they vanish, we lose not just a species, but a living link to a time we can barely fathom. There's something humbling, even eerie, about standing beside a bristlecone. You're dwarfed not by its size, but by its age, a quiet rebuke to human brevity. It's lived through 50 centuries, watching silently as we built cities, waged wars, and reached for stars. What does it know that we don't? Perhaps nothing. It's just a tree. Or perhaps everything. Its very persistence a riddle we're still too young to solve. A whisper across millennia. The bristlecone pine, Earth's oldest living organism, is more than a record holder. It's a survivor, a witness, a paradox. For over 5,000 years, it has clung to life in places where little else can. Its twisted form a testament to endurance over grandeur. As we marvel at its age, we're left to wonder, what does it mean to live so long, so quietly? In its silence, it speaks of time's vastness, of nature's patience, of mysteries that don't demand answers, just awe. So next time you think of history, picture a lone tree on a windswept peak, counting years while we count moments, thriving in shadows, how plants defy darkness. Picture a world without sunlight, no golden rays filtering through leaves, no green carpet stretching toward the sky. It's a realm we'd assume is hostile to plants, those solar-powered marvels we learn about in school. Yet deep in caves, beneath ocean floors, and even in the crevices of our imagination, some plants defy this rule. They grow in complete darkness, tapping into alternative energy sources that rewrite what we think we know about life. How do they do it? What strange alchemy keeps them alive where light never reaches? Let's step into shadows and uncover this botanical secret, the science beyond sunlight. At the heart of most plant life is photosynthesis. Sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide combine to fuel growth, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. It's a process so fundamental that it's hard to imagine plants without it. But nature, ever inventive, has carved out exceptions. Some plants thrive in total darkness by abandoning photosynthesis entirely, turning instead to alternative energy sources like chemical reactions or parasitic relationships. Take chemosynthesis, a process we usually associate with deep-sea bacteria near hydrothermal vents. Certain plants or plant-like organisms have adapted this trick. For example, fungi-related species like Monotropa uniflora, commonly called Indian pipe or ghost plant, grow in the pitch-black understory of forests. These pale, waxy plants don't produce chlorophyll, the green pigment that captures light. Instead, they siphon energy from mycorrhizal fungi, which in turn draw nutrients from nearby tree roots. It's a three-way partnership, tree, fungus, plant, a shadowy food web thriving without a photon in sight. Studies, like one from Plant Physiology in 2016, show these hollow parasites can flourish in conditions that would starve their sun-loving cousins. Then there's the case of deep-sea algae and cave dwellers. Some red algae species, found thousands of feet below the ocean surface, use faint traces of chemical energy or infrared wavelengths invisible to us. In caves, plants like Nolana species in Chile's Atacama Desert have been observed growing in near-total darkness, possibly leveraging mineral oxidation or microbial symbiosis. These adaptations challenge the textbook definition of a plant, blurring lines between kingdoms of life, fascinating shadows of survival. The ghost plant is a standout in this dark world. Often mistaken for a fungus, it emerges from forest floors like a spectral apparition. Translucent, white, sometimes tinged pink. It blooms in clusters, nodding downward as if bowing to the gloom. Native Americans called it corpse plant for its eerie look, and it's been spotted in places as far apart as Japan and North America. Unlike its photosynthetic peers, it doesn't need seasons or sunlight. It simply waits for the right fungal host, growing when conditions align. Other examples push the boundaries further. The Orabans genus, known as broomrapes, includes parasitic plants that latch onto the roots of crops like tomatoes or sunflowers. Completely devoid of leaves or green tissue, they thrive underground or in shaded niches, stealing sugars directly from their hosts. Some species even glow faintly, a bioluminescent quirk tied to chemical reactions, nature's own nightlights. In 2020, researchers and new phytologists documented how these plants detect host roots via chemical signals, a kind of blind predatory instinct. And then there's history's odd footnote. Victoria botanists once speculated that cave plants might feed on darkness itself, a poetic misstep later debunked. Yet the truth is stranger. Plants evolving to harness energy from decay, minerals, or living neighbors, proving life's knack for exploiting every niche. One cave in China's Guangxi region hosts a fern-like species that grows in perpetual dark, its spores carried in by bats, its energy likely drawn from guano breakdown. It's a reminder that even in the blackest corners, something green or ghostly white can persist. What darkness teaches us. These shadow dwellers do more than survive. They reshape our understanding of life's possibilities. If plants can grow without sunlight, what does that mean for ecosystems we've overlooked? Scientists now study these organisms to model life on exoplanets, where thick atmospheres or subsurface oceans might block light entirely. A 2022 paper in astrobiology suggested that chemosynthetic plants could hint at alien biospheres, thriving on chemical gradients rather than solar power. Close at home, they inspire innovations like bioengineered crops that could grow in low-light urban farms or disaster zones. Their existence also humbles us. We've long cast plants as passive, sun-dependent fixtures, but these rebels reveal a cunning adaptability. They're not just surviving darkness, they're exploiting it, turning absence into opportunity. For agriculture, this could mean acoustic or chemical triggers to boost growth in shaded regions, a frontier still in its infancy. Ecologically, they highlight the unseen networks, fungi, microbes, roots that sustain life beyond our gaze. There's an eerie beauty here, too. These plants don't compete for light or flaunt vibrant colors. They whisper of a quieter, slower world. They remind us that life doesn't always need the spotlight. It can bloom in the margins, unnoticed, unrelenting. A lightless legacy. Plants growing in complete darkness defy our assumptions, trading sunlight for stranger fuels. From the ghost plant's fungal pack to broomrape's parasitic grip, they prove that life bends rules to endure. In their silent rebellion, they offer clues to Earth's hidden corners and worlds beyond, urging us to look where light fails. So next time you pass a shadowed wood or a cave's mouth, pause. Something might be growing there, alive in ways we're only beginning to understand. Whispers in the roots, plants that hear the world. What if the rustle of leaves wasn't just wind, but a conversation? What if plants could hear the hum of bees or the trickle of water and respond? It sounds like the stuff of fairy tales, yet science reveals that plants can indeed detect and react to sound vibrations. Far from being mute, passive fixtures, they're tuned into the world's subtle soundtrack, bending roots or blooming faster based on what they hear. How does this work? What does it mean for the silent forest? Let's listen closely to a secret that's been hiding in plain sight, the science of sonic sensitivity. Plants lack ears, but they don't need them to perceive sound. Vibrations, mechanical waves traveling through air, soil, or water, are their medium. Research over the past decade has peeled back the curtain on this ability, showing that plants use specialized cells to sense and respond to these waves. A landmark 2019 study from Tel Aviv University found that Arabidopsis thaliana, a muster relative, and evening primrose plants increase nectar production when exposed to recordings would be buzzing at 100 to 400 hertz. The flowers didn't hear in the human sense. Instead, their petals vibrated in sync with the sound, triggering a biochemical response. Roots tell an even stranger tale. In 2017, a team at the University of Western Australia played water flow sounds to pea plants, Pisum sativum. The roots grew toward the noise, even without actual water present, suggesting they detect vibrations through mechanoreceptors, tiny sensors in cell walls that pick up pressure changes. Published in Ecologia, the study showed roots bending up to 2 centimeters toward speakers buried in soil. It's not hearing as we know it, but a kind of touch-based listening, refined over millions of years. How do they process this? Scientists point to calcium ion channels, which open when vibrations hit, sending signals through the plant's tissues. It's a rudimentary nervous system, eerily similar to animal reflexes. A 2021 paper in Plant Signaling and Behavior even detected electrical spikes in corn plants exposed to caterpillar chewing sounds, hinting they might eavesdrop on threats. This isn't imagination, it's evolution, turning sound into survival. Fascinating echoes of awareness. The idea of plants responding to sound isn't new. It's just been dismissed as fringe until recently. In the 1960s, Cleve Baxter, a polygraph expert, hooked plants to lie detectors and claimed they reacted to human thoughts or nearby violence. His work was ridiculed, but it sparked curiosity. Today, we've swapped pseudoscience for rigor, and the results are wilder than fiction. Take flash speed carollescens, a metal-loving plant. A 2020 study found it grew faster when exposed to low-frequency hums mimicking wind, possibly to strengthen its stems. Plants might even talk back. In 2018, researchers at the University of Bristol recorded ultrasonic clicks, up to 100 kilohertz, emitted by stressed tomato and tobacco plants. Too high for human ears. These pops could warn neighbors or attract pest-eating insects. Imagine a forest alive with inaudible chatter. Roots tuning to water, leaves buzzing with pollinators, stems groaning under strain. Historical anecdotes add flavor. Indian farmers have long sung to crops, swearing it boosts yields. A 2014 experiment in plant biology backed this up, showing rice plants exposed to classical music grew 10% taller than silent controls. Then there's the quirky. Mimosa pudica, the sensitive plant, folds its leaves when touched or when blasted with loud rock music, as a viral 2019 video showed. It's less about taste and more about vibration overload, but it's a glimpse of plants as dynamic players, not static props. From buzzing bees to dripping rain, they're listening to a world we often tune out. What it means to hear without ears. The sonic sensitivity flips our view of plants upside down. They're not just reacting to light or nutrients, they're part of an acoustic ecosystem. For pollination, it's a game changer. Flowers hearing, bees could time nectar release, saving energy. For roots, it's survival. Seeking water by sound could mean life in arid lands. A 2023 study in Nature Communications proposed acoustic farming, using soundscapes to steer plant growth. Imagine fields humming with tailored frequencies, coaxing roots deeper or fruits riper. Beyond Earth, it fuels speculation. If plants sense vibrations, could they thrive on noisy alien worlds, where wind or seismic rumbles replace sunlight? Astrobiologists think so. Modeling life that listens to its planet. Closer to home, it challenges our arrogance. Plants aren't deaf to us. That lawnmower's roar, they feel it. Your morning playlist, they might sway along. It's a quiet rebellion against the idea of nature as inert, suggesting a dialogue we've ignored. There's wonder here, too. A forest isn't silent. It's a symphony of vibrations, from bird calls to creaking trunks. Plants, in their wordless way, are part of the chorus, attuned to rhythms we're only beginning to hear. It's a humbling thought. The green world isn't just growing, it's listening. A soundtrack for the soil. Plants detecting sound vibrations reveal a hidden layer of life. Roots reaching for water's echo, flowers dancing to be wings. It's not hearing as we know it, but a primal awareness woven into their cells. As science tunes in, we're left to wonder, what else do they sense? Next time you walk through a garden, consider the whispers beneath your feet, a conversation older than words, alive in every leaf. The dance of leaves, plants that move like animals. Imagine a plant that hunts, a green jaw snapping shut on an unsuspecting fly, swift as a predator's strike. The Venus flytrap doesn't just sit there. It moves, blurring the line between plant and animal in a way that feels almost unnatural. But it's not alone. Across the botanical world, some plants twist, fold, or lunge, defying the stillness we expect from nature's greenery. How do they pull off this trick? What drives these living traps and dancers? Let's step into the strange, kinetic world of plants that refuse to stay rooted in one sense of the word, the science of botanical motion. The Venus flytrap, Dionaea muscipula, is the poster child for moving plants, and its mechanism is a marvel of biology. Each trap is a modified leaf lined with tiny, sensitive hairs. When an insect brushes these trigger hairs twice within 20 seconds, the trap slams shut in less than a tenth of a second, faster than a human blink. This speed comes from turgor pressure. Water rushes into cells on the trap's outer surface, swelling them while the inner cells stay rigid, flipping the leaf into a concave snap. A 2019 study in Current Biology mapped this as an elastic buckling effect powered by stored energy like a coiled spring. No nerves or muscles here, just physics and chemistry. The trigger hairs send electrical signals, akin to an animal's nerve impulses, via ion channels that flood the cells with calcium. Once shut, the trap seals tight, releasing digestive enzymes to break down prey over days. Charles Darwin himself was obsessed, calling it one of the most wonderful plants in the world, in his 1875 book Insectivorous Plants. But the flytrap isn't unique. Its cousins push the boundaries further. The sensitive plant Mimosa pudica folds its leaves at a touch, a defense against herbivores. This thigmonastic movement, triggered by physical contact, relies on rapid water shifts in pulvini, swollen cells at leaf bases. A 2021 plant physiology study clocked its collapse at 300 milliseconds, driven by potassium ion surges. Then there's a telegraph plant, Coderiocalyx motorius, whose leaflets twirl in tiny circles all day, possibly to optimize light or deter pests. These motions, though slower, hint at a plant world alive with purpose. Fascinating twists and turns. The Venus flytrap speed is jaw-dropping, literally. In lab tests, it snagged flies moving at 100 milliseconds, a record for plant motion. Native to North Carolina's bogs, it evolved this trick where nutrients like nitrogen are scarce, turning insects into fertilizer. One trap can reopen up to 7 times before it dies, a grim tally of its hunts. Victorian botanists adored it. Darwin sent specimens to friends, marveling as they caught houseflies in drawing rooms. Mimosa pudica has its own charm, nicknamed Touch Me Not. It collapses in seconds, then reopens in minutes, a shy dance that's captivated observers since the 1600s. In India, it's a folk remedy. Kids worldwide poke it for fun. A 2018 experiment showed it learns. After repeated touches with no harm, it stops folding, suggesting a primitive memory. The telegraph plant, from Southeast Asia, moves without touch, its leaflet spinning up to 180 degrees daily. Legend says it dances to music, though science ties it to temperature and light cycles. Other movers pop up globally. The bladderwort, Utricularia, sucks prey into underwater traps in 1 millisecond, the fastest plant action known, per a 2020 Nature study. Sundews curl sticky tendrils around bugs, slow but deliberate. These plants don't just react. They act with a precision that feels alive in an animal sense, challenging our view of flora as static. What movement means for plants. This kinetic knack flips the script on plants as passive sunbathers. For the Venus flytrap, movement is survival. Catching prey in nutrient-poor soils beats waiting for rain. For Mimosa, it's defense, startling grazers or shaking off pests. The telegraph plant's twirl might confuse predators or chase fleeting sun rays. A 2022 Journal of Experimental Botany paper suggests these traits evolved independently, showing nature's knack for solving problems with motion. The implications ripple outward. Engineers mimic the flytrap snap for robotics, soft grippers that close without motors. A 2023 MIT prototype used its buckling principle for medical devices. Ecologically, moving plants shape their niches. Carnivorous species like flytraps control insect populations. indirectly aiding other flora. For us, it's a wake-up call. Plants aren't inert. They're players in a dynamic world, responding with a grace we're only starting to grasp. There's an eerie thrill here, too. A plant that moves feels alive in a way that unsettles. Less a fixture, more a creature. It hints at senses we don't fully understand, a botanical intelligence woven into every twitch. Next time you brush a leaf, consider it might brush back. A living rhythm. Plants that move, like the Venus flytrap snap or mimosa's fold, shatter the myth of stillness. They hunt, dodge, and dance, driven by water, ions, and evolutionary cunning. From bog traps to twirling leaflets, they reveal a world where green life pulses with intent. So pause by that next plant. It might just be waiting to surprise you. The stench of grandeur, Rafflesia's rotten rain. Imagine a flower wider than a car tire, its petals a mottled red, sprawling across the jungle floor. Now imagine it reeks of decay, of death, a stench so pungent it could wake a coma patient. This is Rafflesia arnoldii, the world's largest single flower, a botanical titan that smells like rotting flesh. Found in the steamy rainforests of Southeast Asia, it's less a bloom to admire and more a spectacle to endure. How does something so grand turn so grotesque? Why does nature craft such a paradox? Let's peel back the petals of this fetid wonder and breathe in its story, preferably from a distance. The science of a smelly giant. Rafflesia arnoldii isn't your typical flower. It's a parasite, a botanical vampire with no roots, leaves, or chlorophyll of its own. It latches onto tetrastigma vine, a grape relative, siphoning nutrients through thread-like structures that invade its host tissues. This stealthy lifestyle lets it focus all its energy on one thing, producing the biggest, most outrageous bloom possible. A single flower can stretch up to 3 feet across and weigh over 22 pounds, a feat confirmed by botanists studying specimens in Indonesia's Sumatra and Borneo. The stench comes from chemistry, not chance. Rafflesia emit a cocktail of volatile compounds, dimethyl disulfide, trimethylamine, and hydrogen sulfide, mimicking the smell of decomposing meat. A 2018 study in phytochemistry pinpointed these sulfur-based molecules as the culprits, perfectly tuned to attract carrion flies and beetles. These insects, lured by the promise of rot, crawl into the flower's cavernous center, picking up pollen from male blooms and dusting it onto female ones. It's pollination by deception. No nectar, no reward, just a foul illusion. The flower even heats up slightly, amplifying the odor and mimicking a fresh corpse, a trick measure at 5 to 10 degrees Celsius above ambient temperature in field studies. This parasitic giant takes years to bloom, often 5 or more, emerging as a cabbage-like bud before unfurling over days. Once open, it lasts less than a week, collapsing into a slimy black mess. It's brief, stinky reign over. It's a high-stakes gamble, betting on rare pollinators to find it in the dense jungle. Fascinating fragments of a foul bloom. Rafflesia arnoldii earned its name in 1818 when British explorer Sir Stamford Raffles and botanist Joseph Arnold stumbled across it in Sumatra. Arnold reportedly gagged at the smell, but Raffles saw its value. Naming it became a colonial trophy. Locals already knew it as Bunga Bankai, corpse flower, a title it shares confusingly with another stinker, Amorphophallus titanum. Unlike its towering cousin, Rafflesia hugs the ground, its 5 fleshy petals splayed like a starfish, speckled with white warts that add to its alien allure. Its size is staggering. Some blooms hit 40 inches wide, dwarfing any rose or sunflower. In 2021, a record specimen in West Sumatra tipped the scales at 24 pounds, a floral behemoth photographed by stunned rangers. Rare sightings amplify its mystique. With dozens of species across the genus, only a few bloom at once. Hidden in remote forests, flies swarm it, but humans hesitate. Guides in Borneo warn tourists to bring masks, though the stench still seeps through. Historically, it's been a curiosity and a curse. Victorian plant hunters risked jungle treks to bag specimens, only to find them rotting mid-journey. One 19th century sketch shows a bloom with a dead rat nearby, hinting at its grim appeal. Today, locals use its buds in traditional medicine, believing they boost fertility. Ironic for a plant that produces nothing but stench and seeds. What the stink reveals. Rafflesia's rotten ruse is more than a quirk. It's a masterclass in survival. By mimicking carrion, it taps a niche pollinator pool, outsmarting flowers that compete with sweet scents. Ecologically, it's a minor player but a loud one, supporting fly populations in rainforests where decay is a constant. Its host vine, though burdened, often survives, suggesting a delicate balance honed over millennia. The implications stretch further. Conservationists worry habitat loss from logging and palm oil plantations threatens Rafflesia, with some species nearing extinction, per a 2022 conservation biology report. Protecting it means saving jungles, a ripple effect for biodiversity. Scientists also study its chemicals. Could that stench inspire new pest repellents or synthetic lures? Its heat trick hints at bioengineering potential, mimicking warmth for other uses. There's an odd grandeur here, too. Rafflesia challenges our floral ideals. Beauty isn't always fragrant or delicate. It's a reminder of nature's wild diversity, thriving on the edge of disgust. For every orchid, there's a Rafflesia, proving life doesn't need to please us to persist. A whiff of wonder. Rafflesia arnoldii, the world's largest flower, reigns with stench of rotting flesh, a paradox of size and smell. Parasitic, fleeting and foul, it lures flies while repelling us, a jungle secret that's both grotesque and grand. As it fades into slime, it leaves a question. What other oddities bloom unseen? In its reek, we find nature's strange majesty. Tears of the leaves, the mystery of guttation. Picture a morning meadow, blades of grass glistening with dewdrops, or so you think. Look closer. Some of those beads aren't dew at all, but tiny tears wet by the plants themselves. This is guttation, a process where plants sweat water from their leaves, a quiet phenomenon that's more than just a quirk. It's not the evaporation and transpiration we learn in school. It's something deeper, stranger, a glimpse into how plants breathe, balance, and even cry. What drives this hidden flow? Why do plants shed these droplets? Let's trace the tears back to their roots and uncover a secret dripping in plain sight. The science of plant tears. Guttation happens when plants push water out, not pull it in. Unlike transpiration, where water escapes as vapor through stomata, tiny leaf pores, under sunlight's pull, guttation is a nighttime or early morning affair driven by root pressure. When soil moisture is high and air humidity slows evaporation, roots keep absorbing water, building pressure in the plant's vascular system. Xylem vessels act like a pump. This force squeezes water up and out through special structures called hydrathodes, often at leaf tips or edges. These hydrathodes aren't stomata. They're fixed openings, like tiny faucets that don't close. A 2017 study in plant physiology measured this pressure in corn plants, finding it can reach 100 kilopascals, enough to lift water against gravity. The droplets carry minerals, sugars, and sometimes enzymes, leaving a salty crust when they dry. In species like strawberries or grasses, you'll see these beads glinting at dawn, each a miniature lens reflecting the world. It's not sweat in the human sense, no glands, no heat regulation, just a passive overflow, yet it mimics life's rhythms in an uncanny way. The process peaks under specific conditions: wet soil, cool nights, low wind. A 2020 American Journal of Botany paper found guttation in over 300 plant families, from ferns to flowering vines, showing it's no rare trick. It's most dramatic in young plants or tropical species, where root pressure runs high, a silent pulse pushing life's essence to the surface. Fascinating droplets of wonder. Gutation's charm lies in its quiet beauty. On a strawberry leaf, you might spot perfect spheres, sometimes tinged red from anthocyanins, nature's own jewelry. In rice paddies, farmers call it leaf tears, a sign of healthy roots, though too much can signal overwatering. Historically, it baffled early botanists. 17th century texts confused it with dew until Robert Hooke, peering through his microscope, noted water oozing from leaf tips, not condensing from air. His 1665 Micrographia sketches hint at this discovery, a footnote to his self-aim. Some plants take it further. The lady's mantle, Alchemilla mollis, forms guttation beads so large they inspired alchemists who collected them as celestial water for potions, folly but poetic. In the tropics, Colocasia, elephant ear, Plants drip so copiously they've been dubbed weeping giants, leaving puddles under their broad leaves. A single drop can hold amino acids or potassium, a tiny gift to soil microbes, or a snack for ants, who've been seen sipping them in field studies. Oddly, guttation can backfire. In lawns, those salty crusts from evaporated drops sometimes burn grass tips, a minor blight. Victorian gardeners cursed it as plant bleeding, fearing it weakened crops, though science later proved its harmless success. Today, photographers chase its sparkle. Macro shots of guttation rival due for Instagram glory, proof of its subtle allure. What guttation whispers? These tears aren't just pretty. They reveal a plant's inner workings. Guttation signals root health. Strong pressure means vigorous uptake, a boon for farmers tracking water needs. A 2022 agronomy study used it to gauge irrigation in wheat, finding oversaturated plants sweat more, a practical clue. Chemically, the droplets spill secrets. High mineral content might flag soil imbalances, a natural diagnostic tool. Beyond utility, guttation hints at resilience. In humid jungles, it prevents waterlogging, letting plants shed excess before rot sets in, an unsung survival trick. Ecologically, those nutrient-rich drops feed fungi and bacteria, tying plants to the soil's hidden life. Scientists even ponder its origins. Did guttation evolve in ancient wetlands, a relic of a soggy earth? A 2019 new phytologist hypothesis suggests it's older than transpiration, a primal trait we're only now appreciating. For us, it's a quiet marvel. It inspires biomimicry. Could we design self-regulating pipes that weep excess pressure? More poetically, it reframes plants as active, almost sentient, crying when full, resting when dry. In a drought-stricken world, their ability to balance water feels like a lesson we've yet to learn. A leaf silent cry. Guttation turns plants into weepers, shedding tears of water and life from their leaves. Driven by root pressure, these droplets, beautiful, fleeting, hint at a world of balance and unseen vigor. Next dawn, look for them. Tiny mirrors of a plant's soul, glistening with secrets we're just beginning to hear. Back from the brink, the resurrection plants. Imagine a plant so dry it looks like a crumpled relic, its leaves curled and brown, a whisper from death. Now douse it with water and watch it unfurl, green seeping back into its veins, alive again. These are resurrection plants, nature's comeback artists, capable of surviving extreme dehydration only to resurrect when moisture returns. Found in deserts and rocky wastes, they defy the fragility we associate with greenery. How do they cheat drought? What makes them rise from their own ashes? Let's unravel the miracle of plants that refuse to stay down, the science of defying dryness. Resurrection plants belong to a rare group with desiccation tolerance, enduring water loss that would kill most flora. Take Selaginella lepidophylla, the rose of Jericho, or Haberlia rhodopensis from Balkan cliffs. They can lose up to 95% of their water content and still revive. Most plants wilt at 10% loss. These shrug off near total dehydration. A 2020 study in plant, cell, and environment revealed their secret: a mix of physical curling and biochemical shields. When drought hits, they roll into tight balls, reducing surface area to slow evaporation, a physical armor. Inside, they hoard sugars like trehalose, which stabilize proteins and cell membranes as water vanishes. A 2018 Nature Plants paper showed trehalose levels in Selaginella spike during drying, forming a glassy matrix that holds cells intact. Antioxidants also flood their tissues, mopping up free radicals that would otherwise shred them. When water returns, osmosis kicks in fast. Within hours, they're plump again, photosynthesis humming as if nothing happened. This isn't dormancy like seeds, it's active survival. Their chloroplasts stay primed, not dismantled, per a 2021 Journal of Experimental Botany study. Some, like Craterostigma plantaginum, even tweak gene expression mid-drought, shutting down non-essentials while prepping for revival. It's a high-wire act, too long dry, and even they succumb, but most endure months, some years, waiting for rain's kiss. Fascinating tales of revival. The Rose of Jericho steals the spotlight. Native to the Chihuahuan Desert, it's a tumbleweed when dry, rolling across sand until water triggers its rebirth. Traders sold it as a curiosity in medieval markets, dubbing it a resurrection fern, though it's no fern. A single plant can cycle through dozens of dry, wet phases, its fronds greening in as little as 12 hours, per field tests. Online videos of this Lazarus act rack up millions of views, a botanical magic trick. Other stars shine too. Anastatica hieroconica, the true rose of Jericho from the Middle East, was a biblical symbol. Legend says it bloomed at Christ's birth. It's smaller but tougher, surviving decades dry. A 2019 Cairo University study revived a 50-year-old specimen. Myrothamnus flabellifolia from southern Africa fans out like a hand when wet, then snaps shut in drought, a living hinge. Its aromatic leaves hint at medicinal use. Locals chew it for stamina, a claim unproven but persistent. History adds flavor. Bedouins tucked dried Jericho roses into pouches, trusting rain would find them. In labs, Selaginella specimens from the 1800s have sprung back under modern sprinklers, time capsules of resilience. Their stark beauty, crisp husks turning lush, makes them desert icons, thriving where cacti merely endure. What resurrection teaches us. These plants aren't just oddities, they're blueprints for survival. Their drought defiance offers hope for agriculture in a warming world. A 2023 crop science study engineered rice with trehalose genes from cradle, boosting its dry tolerance by 30%, a step toward desert farms. Biotech eyes their tricks for preserving vaccines or tissues without refrigeration, mimicking that glassy sugar shield. Ecologically, they anchor harsh landscapes. In Namibia, Myrothamnus stabilizes rocky slopes, its roots binding soil when rains finally come. They're pioneers, proving life can cling to the edge. Some even colonize meteorite craters, per a 2020 Ecology Letter survey. For astrobiology, they're analogs for extraterrestrial life. Could Mars host such survivors, waiting for a rover splash? Their resilience humbles us. 2. We panic at wilting houseplants. These laugh at months without a drop. They whisper of patience, of cycles beyond our rush, a lesson in enduring the unendurable. In a parched future, their secrets might not just inspire, but sustain. A pulse in the dust. Resurrection plants, curling, drying, rising, turn dehydration into a pause, not an end. With sugars and grit, they wait out the impossible, greening at water's touch. From desert relics to lab hopes, they prove life's stubborn spark. Next time you see a withered leaf, wonder, is it truly gone or just biding its time? The hungry hollows. Picture plants' deadly traps. Picture a plant that doesn't just grow. It hunts. Its leaves twist into slick, gaping tubes, a siren call to insects that tumble in and never climb out. This is a pitcher plant, a carnivorous marvel that traps and digests its prey with a quiet, ruthless grace. Found in bogs and jungles, these green predators flip the natural order, feasting on the creatures that buzz around them. How do they lure and kill? What drive their hunger? Let's peer into the hollows of these botanical assassins and uncover a world where plants bite back. The science of a living trap. Pitcher plants, primarily from the Nepenthes and Sarracenia genera, thrive in nutrient-poor soils, wetlands, acidic bogs, or rocky outcrops, where nitrogen and phosphorus are scarce. To compensate, they've evolved traps, modified leaves shaped like pitchers, filled with a deadly brew. The Nepenthes species, tropical climbers, dangle vase-like cups with slippery rims coated in waxy crystals or nectar-laced lures. A 2019 Nature Plant study found these rims turn ultra-slick when wet, sending ants and flies skidding in, a fall clocked at under a second. Inside, the pitcher holds a pool of liquid, sometimes rainwater, often a plant-made stew of enzymes like proteases and kinases. A 2021 Journal of Experimental Botany Analysis showed Sarracenia purpurea breaks down insect proteins in hours, absorbing amino acids through its walls. Some Nepenthes even tweak pH, dropping it to 2, acidic enough to rival stomach juice, dissolving prey into a nutrient slurry. The trap's edge often sports downward-pointing hairs or a lid that snaps shut, ensuring escape is a fantasy. This isn't passive waiting. Pitchers actively seduce. Bright colors, UV patterns, and sweet scents mimic flowers, per a 2020 ecology study, while some mimic rotting fruit to draw flies. Nepenthes raja even partners with bats, offering a ruse in exchange of guano, a rare twist on the carnivorous norm. It's evolution at its craftiest, turning scarcity into a banquet. Fascinating feasts of the flesh-eaters. The Nepenthes clan, dubbed monkey cups in Borneo, boasts over 170 species, some with pitchers stretching 18 inches, big enough to drown rats, as a 2018 Sumatra sighting confirmed. Nepenthes atembrufii, named for David Attenborough, holds a liter of fluid, its gaudy red luring prey in Philippine highlands. One specimen famously trapped a mouse, its bones bleached white by the brew, a gruesome trophy. Sarracenia, North America's trumpet pitchers, are subtler but no less lethal. Their fluted traps, up to 3 feet tall, glow under blacklight, a beacon for moths. A 2017 field study caught them snaring bees by the dozen, their drowned husks piling up like a tiny graveyard. Victorian collectors prize them. Charles Darwin sketched Sarracenia obsessively, marveling at their perfect contrivance in his 1875 Insectivorous Plants. Odd prey pops up, too. Nepenthes loei in Malaysia lures tree shrews, not for meat, but for poop. Its pitcher doubles as a toilet, harvesting nitrogen-rich droppings. In 2020, a Sarracenia in Canada nabbed a salamander, an accidental catch that stunned botanists. These plants don't discriminate. Spiders, wasps, even small frogs have met their end in the hollows, a testament to their unrelenting appetite. What hunger reveals. Pitcher plants rewrite the predator-prey script. In bogs where roots starve, they've turned leaves into stomachs, snagging nutrients other plants can't reach. Ecologically, they're regulators. Sarracenia curbs mosquito larvae in pitcher pools, a natural pest control, noted in a 2022 wetland study. Nepenthes in jungles trim ant colonies, balancing local insect life. Their presence signals pristine habitats. Lose the bog, lose the pitcher. Science gleans more. Their slippery surfaces inspire tech. Harvard's 2021 Slippery Liquid-Infused Porous Surfaces, SLIPS, mimic Nepenthes wax for non-stick coatings, from medical tools to ice-proof plain wings. Biologically, they're a window into adaptation. How does a leaf become a trap? A 2019 genome biology study traced Nepenthes genes to ancient stress responses, a survival hack turned lethal. For us, they're a shiver of awe. Plants eating flesh feel alien, almost wrong, yet they thrive, silent and unapologetic. In a world of grazers, they're hunters, a reminder that nature doesn't play by our rules. Their hunger challenges our green stereotypes, hinting at a wilder, weirder flora. A sip of doom. Pitcher plants, hollow, hungry, ingenious, trap and digest insects with a predator's guile. From slick rims to acid baths, they turn scarcity into supper, ruling bogs and jungles alike. Next time you pass a quiet plant, pause. It might be waiting for its next meal. Roots that talk, the wood wide web. Beneath the forest floor, where sunlight fades and silence reigns, a hidden network hums with life. It's not roots alone, but a sprawling web of fungi linking trees, shrubs, and grasses in a subterranean conversation. This is a mycorrhizal network, dubbed the wood wide web, a living internet that shuttles nutrients, warnings, and whispers between plants. Far from solitary, these green giants are connected, sharing resources and secrets through fungal threads. How does this underground alliance work? What does it say about the forest soul? Let's dig into the roots and listen to a world that speaks without words. The science of a fungal highway. Mycorrhizal networks arise from a symbiosis between plants and fungi, specifically mycorrhizal fungi like glomus or rhizopogon. These fungi wrap around or penetrate plant roots, forming a partnership honed over 400 million years. Plants offer sugars from photosynthesis. Fungi repay with water, phosphorus, and nitrogen mined from soil. But it's not a one-to-one deal. A 2020 Nature reviews microbiology study map how fungal hyphae, thin, branching filaments, link multiple plants, creating a vast grid beneath the earth. This grid moves more than nutrients. Carbon flows from big mother trees to shaded saplings, per Suzanne Simard's 1997 Nature breakthrough. Her isotope tracing showed a Douglas fir sharing up to 10% of its carbon via fungi. Chemical signals zip along. 2. When aphids attack a beach, it releases volatiles that fungi ferry to neighbors, triggering defenses like toxin production, per a 2018 Ecology Letter study. Some networks span hundreds of meters, connecting dozens of species, birch to fir, orchid to oak, in a single fungal embrace. The mechanics are elegant. Hyphae act like pipes, their tips fusing with root cells to swap molecules. Electrical pulses even flicker through, hinting at a proto-nervous system, though a 2021 fungal biology paper calls it speculative. It's not a brain, but a system dynamic, responsive, alive. Over 90% of land plants tap into these networks, a testament to their ancient necessity. Fascinating threads of connection. Simard's would wide web term, coined in the 90s, turn heads, and it fits. In British Columbia, she found a single pine linked to 47 other trees via 8 fungal species, a hub in a forest chatroom. Some networks dwarf football fields. One armillaria fungus in Oregon spans 2,385 acres, though it's parasitic, not mycorrhizal. Typical webs are smaller but no less busy. Studies estimate they shuttle tons of carbon yearly, a silent economy. The details dazzle. Mother trees, old, massive specimens, act like servers, funneling resources to seedlings, even across species. A 2016 science experiment watched a dying oak pass its last sugars to a nearby pine, a final gift. Orchids, notoriously picky, lean on the web hardest. Some germinate only with fungal help, sipping nutrients like vampires. In Australia, eucalyptus trees warn kin of drought via fungal whispers, per a 2019 field study. Curling leaves preemptively. History nods to this, too. Indigenous tales of talking trees predate science. Haudenosaunee stories speak of roots sharing strength. Modern lore adds quirks. Gardeners swear playing music boosts fungal growth, a claim unproven but charming. From a single thread to a forest-spanning lattice, the web weaves a tale of unity beneath our feet. What the web weaves. This network flips forests from battlegrounds to communities. Competition still exists. Plants vie for light, but cooperation runs deeper. A 2022 PNAS study found network trees survive drought 20% better, pooling water via fungi. It's a buffer against chaos, pests, fires, or storms hit one, and the web rallies, spreading alerts or aid. Ecologically, it's a lifeline. Fungi bind soil, curbing erosion, while plants feed microbial allies, a cycle of give and take. For us, it's a rethink. Forestry once raised old trees, missing their role as hubs. Simard's work now pushes selective logging to preserve the web. Agriculture eyes it, too. Mycorrhizal inoculants boost crop yields per a 2021 agronomy trial, cutting fertilizer needs. Beyond utility, it sparks wonder. Is this intelligence? Not human, but collective. A forest mind, humming through roots. It's eerie, too. Step on soil, and you're treading a living network, pulsing with signals we can't hear. It hints at unseen connections everywhere. Plants as partners, not props. In a fragmented world, their quiet solidarity feels a lesson we've forgotten, a whispering underworld. The wood wide web ties plants in a fungal embrace, sharing life beneath the dirt. From carbon gift to pest alarms, it's a network of resilience and secrets older than cities. Next time you walk a forest, feel it. Roots talking, fungi listening, a chatter we're just starting to join. Metal eaters, plants that thrive in poison. Picture a wasteland, soil laced with lead, arsenic, or nickel, a toxic brew no ordinary plant can endure. Yet amid the poison, green shoots rise, not just surviving, but feasting on the very metals that spell death to others. These are hyperaccumulators, plants that grow in toxic earth by sucking up heavy metals, storing them in their leaves and stems. Found on mine tailings and polluted plains, they're nature's alchemists, turning curse into cure. How do they swallow what kills? What secrets do they hold in their roots? Let's unearth the story of plants that dine on danger. The science of toxic tolerance. Hyperaccumulators, plants like Flaspy caroescens or Alyssa murale, have evolved a rare knack. They absorb metals at levels 100 times higher than normal plants. Where most flora wilts at 10 parts per million ppm of nickel, these champs hoard 10,000 ppm, 1% of their dry weight. Per 2020 new phytologist study, they don't just tolerate, they crave. Roots pull metals from soil via specialized proteins, transporters like ramp or zip family members that ferry zinc, cadmium, or copper into cells. Once inside, the plants stash their haul in vacuoles, cellular storage sacs that lock metals away from vital organs. A 2019 plant physiology analysis showed Phyllanthus rufuscanii binds nickel with organic acids, neutralizing toxicity, a chemical cage. Some even excrete excess through glands, leaving metallic crusts on leaves. This isn't passive survival. It's active uptake. Roots seek out metal-rich zones, guided by sensors honed over eons. Why do this? In metal-rich soils like serpentine outcrops or old mines, competition is low. Hyperaccumulators rule where others fail. A 2021 environmental science and technology study suggests some use metals as defense, poisoning herbivores that dare a bite. It's a niche strategy, with over 700 species identified worldwide, from muster relatives to tropical shrubs, a testament to life's stubborn ingenuity. Fascinating glints of metal. Flaspy caroescens, the alpine pennycress, is a star. On Europe's zinc-laced hills, it glows green amid gray slag, its leaves packing 30,000 ppm of zinc, lethal to most life. In 2018, a French mine site yielded a specimen so metal-heavy it shimmered faintly, a botanical oddity. Alyssa murale, dubbed nickel grass, thrives in Albania's serpentine soils. Its yellow flowers belie a core of poison. Farmers once burned it, harvesting nickel from ash, per a 19th century tale. Stranger still is Phyllanthus rufuscanii from the Philippines. Discovered in 2017, it bleeds a nickel-rich sap, bright green, like alien blood, holding 11,000 ppm. Per Phytokeys report, some hyperaccumulators signal their load. Pterogramma calamellonos, a fern, turns silver-gray with arsenic. In Australia, Hybanthus floribundus hits 13,000 ppm of manganese. Its purple blooms a quiet boast over toxic dirt. History nods to their power. Medieval miners watched metal weeds mark or veins. Copper turned leaves blue, a clue to dig. Today, they're lab darlings. Cuttings of flaspy from a 2020 trial yielded zinc pellets, a green twist on metallurgy. From slag heaps to Superfund sites, these plants sprout where nothing else dares, their roots rewriting ruin into resilience. What metal means? Hyperaccumulators are more than survivors. They're saviors. Bioremediation leans on them. Brassica juncea, Indian mustard, sucks up lead, cleaning soil at 1/10 the cost of excavation, per a 2022 Journal of Hazardous Materials Study. In China, Terras vittata mops up arsenic from rice paddies, a quiet fix for Tana harvests. Phytomining goes further. Burn alyssum from nickel-rich plots and you got, or a green industry trialed in Oregon since 2019. Ecologically, they're pioneers. On mine spoils, they stabilize soil, curb runoff, and pave the way for less hardy plants. A 2021 Restoration Ecology Survey found biodiversity tripled around flaspy patches. For science, they're puzzles. How do roots smell metals? A 2020 plant cell gene map hints at ancient adaptations, possibly from Earth's metal-rich youth. They awe us, too. Plants eating poison feel like defiance, a middle finger to a polluted world. They suggest hope. If life can reclaim toxic scars, what else might heal? In their quiet growth, they offer a model: absorb the bad, lock it away, keep going. A green alchemy. Hyperaccumulators turn toxic soil into triumph, gorging on heavy metals where others perish. From nickel sap bleeders to zinc pack leaves, they're nature's cleaners, miners, and rebels. Next time you see a plant on barren ground, wonder, is it sipping poison, spinning gold from grit? The silent call, plants that summon allies. Imagine a plant under siege, caterpillars chewing its leaves, sap-sucking aphids draining its life. Now, picture it fighting back, not with thorns or poison, but with a chemical SOS that summons help. Some plants release signals to attract predators of their pests, turning wasps, birds, or spiders into unwitting bodyguards. It's a hidden dialogue, a whisper in the air that shifts the battlefield from green to grim. How do they call these allies? What makes this botanical pack tick? Let's tune into the silent cries of plants that wield chemistry like a weapon. The science of a chemical cry. When pests attack, plants don't sit idly by. They retaliate with volatile organic compounds, VOCs, airborne chemicals that drift like distress flares. Take corn, a 1980 study by Ted Tullings, published in Science 1990, found that when caterpillars bite, it releases terpenes and green leaf volatiles, scents like cut grass on steroids. These waft out, luring parasitic wasps, Cotesia marginiventris, that lay eggs in the caterpillars, dooming them from within. A 2021 Plant Physiology paper pinpointed the trigger. Pest saliva sparks jasmonic acid production, flipping a genetic switch to pump out VOCs. The process is precise. Lima beans under spider mite attack emit methyl salicylate, drawing predatory mites, Phytocylus persimilis. Per a 2018 Ecology Letter study, within hours the mites feast. Cotton plants hit by bollworms called lacewings with caryophyllene, a spicy note irresistible to the winged hunters. A 2020 Nature Communications analysis showed these signals tweaked by pest type. Aphids trigger one blend, beetles another, fine-tuned over eons. It's not just insects. Acacia trees in Africa, nibbled by giraffes, release ethylene, spooking ant guards into action, ants that also fend off smaller pests. A 2019 Ecologia study even caught birds like warblers keying into pine VOCs, snacking on caterpillars drawn by the same scent. This chemical cry isn't random. It's a calculated shout, turning foes' predators into friends. Fascinating whiffs of warfare. Corn's wasp summoning trick, first spotted in 1988 fields, stunned scientists. Plants weren't passive after all. By 1995, Dutch researchers clocked wasps arriving in under 20 minutes, a rapid response team on wings. Arabidopsis, the lab rat of plants, calls predatory bugs with sulfur-rich whiff when aphids strike. Per 2017 new phytologist trial, its tiny leaves pack a punch. In vineyards, Vitis vinifera grapes hit by leafhoppers lure predatory spiders, a natural shield vintners now bank on. The scents are wild. Some VOCs mimic rotting fruit, others floral perfume. Nicotiana attenuata, a wild tobacco, blasts and dole when hornworms chew, pulling in ants and wasps. A 2020 field study caught it doubling predator visits. Historical quirks add spice. Medieval farmers burned herbs near crops, possibly stumbling on VOC boosts, unwitting allies to an unseen war. In Japan, camellia shrubs summon mites against scale insects, their tea-like aroma a battlefield beacon. Oddly, plants eavesdrop. 2. A 2016 PNAS study showed undamaged beans near attacked can ramp up defenses, sniffing the same VOCs their saviors chase. It's a double play. Call help, warn neighbors. From a caterpillar's first bite to a wasp sting, this chemical chatter turned a lone plant into a networked fortress. What the call means. This silent summons rewrites plant survival. It's not just self-defense, it's ecosystem judo, using pest enemies against them. In forests, Pinus sylvestris pines cut caterpillar numbers by 30% via bird-attracting VOCs, per 2022 forest ecology study, balancing insect loads. In fields, it's a farmer's dream. Cotton with wasp allies slashes pesticide use. A 2021 agronomy trial found. Saving cash and soil. Science grabs a baton. Induced resistance now mimics VOCs. Synthetic sprays trick plants into calling help, per a 2020 crop protection patent. Ecologically, it's a web. Predators thrive, pests thin. Plants stand tall. For us, it's a rethink. Plants aren't victims, but strategists orchestrating allies with a whiff. It hints at a language, chemical, not spoken, tying life together. There's all here, too. A leaf's cry, answered by wings, feels like a pact older than us. It's nature's quiet cunning, a reminder that even the stillest things fight back. In every garden, an unseen war hums. Plants as generals, air as their horn. A whisper worth hearing. Plants that summon pest predators with chemicals turn attack into alliance. From corn's wasp call to acacia's ambrigade, they wield VOCs like signals, weaving a defense web. Next time you smell fresh-cut grass, Pause. It might be a cry for help answered in silence. The rare stink. Corpse flower's fleeting show. Imagine a bloom so massive it looms like a giant's torch, yet so foul it drive you back with a whiff of death. This is a corpse flower, Amorphophallus titanum, a botanical rarity that blooms just once every few years. If you're lucky, native to Sumatra's jungles, it unfurls its putrid splendor for mere days, drawing crowds and flies alike before collapsing into obscurity. What fuels this infrequent spectacle? Why does it reek of rot? Let's step into the shadow of this stinking titan and catch its brief, bizarre moment in the spotlight. The science of a stinky bloom. Amorphophallus titanum, titanarum, lives as a tuber for years, hoarding energy underground like a miser's stash. Blooming is a gamble. It takes 7 to 10 years to store enough starch in its corm, up to 150 pounds, to push out a single flower per 2020 Botanical Journal of the Linnean Society study. When ready, it surges, growing 6 inches a day, into a 10-foot spike, topped by a spadix, a torch, wrapped in a frilly spada. That's the show, but the stench is the star. The smell, rotting flesh, sweaty socks, a dumpster's worst day, comes from sulfur compounds like dimethyl trisulfide and putrescine. A 2018 phytochemistry analysis clocked these peaking on bloom night, luring carrion beetles and flesh flies. The spadix heats up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit per infrared scans, volatilizing the odor and mimicking a fresh corpse, a pollinator magnet. This thermogenesis, driven by stored sugars, lasts 24 to 48 hours. Then the flower wilts, seedless and less pollinated, waiting years to try again. It's a high-stakes sprint. The plant sacrifices leaves during bloom, betting on rare fly visits in Sumatra's dense canopy. A 2021 plant science study found only 5% of wild bloom set seed. Nature's roulette. Greenhouses mimic this hand-pollinating to beat the odds, but the cycle remains a slow, smelly drumbeat. Fascinating flashes of fetid fame. The corpse flower's debut stunned the West. Kew Gardens' 1889 bloom drew thousands, gagging Victorians who dubbed it the devil's tongue. In Sumatra, its Bunga Bangkai, corpse flower, a twin tidal with rafflesia, though its towering spike sets it apart. A 2017 Chicago Botanic Garden bloom hit 12 feet, the tallest recorded, its maroon spada unfurling like a Gothic curtain. Flies swarmed, humans retched. Rarity fuels frenzy. One plant might bloom thrice in 40 years. UC Davis's 2020 TED waited 8 years, then drew 10,000 viewers online. The stench is legend. A 2016 New York bloom cleared rooms, its odor clocked at 30 feet. Some corms live decades. One at Bond's Botanic Garden, from 1937, bloomed in 2021, a 3-pound tuber turned titan. Flies adore it, beetles crawl at spadix, dusted in pollen like grim couriers, while humans gag or grin. Culturally, it's a star, nicknamed Stinky or Corpse Bride. It's a greenhouse rock star. Denver's 2022 bloom sold out tickets. Indigenous tales call it spirit trap. It's Rika ghost breath. When it fades, the corm sleeps, a quiet giant plotting its next foul encore. What rarity reveals? The corpse flower's infrequent bloom is a masterclass in timing. Its stench and heat target a niche, carrying insects in jungles where sweet flowers abound, ensuring pollination amid competition, per a 2019 ecology study. Ecologically, it's a minor player but vital. Those flies tied to decay cycles, a smelly cog in Sumatra's web. Conservationists fret. Habitat loss slashes wild blooms, with fewer than 1,000 left per a 2022 biodiversity report. For science, it's a puzzle why so rare. A 2020 genome biology map hints at slow metabolism, a trait favoring endurance over frequency. Horticulture revels in it. Botanic gardens race to bloom theirs, a badge of prestige. For us, it's spectacle and lesson. Patience pays, even in stench. Its heat trick inspires biomimicry. Could we mimic that warm for energy-efficient lures? There's magic here, too. A bloom so brief, so bold, feels like nature's dare, beauty and disgust, life in waiting. It's a reminder that even the rarest moments leave a mark, lingering in memory like its unforgettable whiff. a stench worth waiting for. The corpse flower blooms once every few years, a towering, reeking marvel. With heat and rot, it calls flies to its fleeting dance, a rare gift from Sumatra's depths. Next time you hear one, brace yourself. It's a whiff of wonder, gone before you blink. Salt spillers, plants that thrive in the brine. What of a plant rooted in seawater, its leaves glistening with salt crystals, sipping from a brew that would shrivel most greenery. These are halophytes, the salt-tolerant titans that not only survive in briny soils, but thrive by spitting out the excess. Found in marshes, deserts, and coastal dunes, they dance a delicate balance with a substance we call poison. How do they turn salt into sustenance? What secrets lie in their gritty resilience? Let's wade into the world of plants that spill salt and conquer the saline frontier, the science of salt mastery. Halophytes, like mangroves Avicennia marina or saltbush Atriplex, have evolved to handle salt concentrations that kill typical plants. Where freshwater flora wilts at 0.5% salinity, these champs endure 3% or higher, seawater's turf. Per a 2020 plant physiology study, their trick? Excretion. Specialized salt glands, their leaves or stems, pumping out sodium and chloride ions before they clog vital systems. Take Avicennia. Its roots filter some salt via osmosis, but what slips through gets shuttled to glands. Tiny pores powered by ADP-driven ion pumps, per 2019 new phytologist analysis. These glands ooze brine, leaving crystals that sparkle in the sun or wash away in rain. Spartina grasses in salt marshes use a similar trick, their blades weeping saline tears. A 2021 Journal of Experimental Botany study clocked Salicornia excreting 50% of absorbed salt daily, a relentless purge. Others compartmentalize, stashing salt in vacuoles, away from cytoplasm, or shedding salty leaves as sacrifice. It's energy-intensive, but worth it. Halophytes monopolize salty niches where rivals can't grow. Over 2,000 species wield this skill, from coastal tamarics to desert sueta, a testament to evolution's salty ingenuity. Fascinating glints of brine. Mangroves steal the show. Avicennia marina, the gray mangrove, rims estuaries from Australia to Africa, its leaves crusted white. Locals call it salt beard. A 2018 field study found one tree dumping 200 grams of salt yearly, a slow-motion sprinkle. Rhizophora, with stilt roots, pairs excretion with filtration, its bark a briny shield. Sailors once chewed their leaves for salt, a gritty snack. Salicornia, or glasswort, looks pickled, succulent, green, and salty to the tongue. In Europe's marshes, it's harvested as sea asparagus, its 10% salt content a chef's delight. A 2020 food chemistry note traced its use to Roman times, when it flavored stews. Atriplex nummularia, Australia's saltbush, feeds livestock. Its salty leaves a drought-proof graze, packing 20% sodium by weight, per 2017 AG study. Oddly, salt can armor them. Crust deter herbivores. Deer skip Spartina for fresher fare, a 2019 ecology survey found. In deserts, Franknia carpets dunes with salty fuzz, a living shield. From tide's edge to arid flats, these plants wear their brine like badges, glinting with defiance that's both fragile and fierce. What salt survival means. Halophytes don't just endure, they reshape their world. In coastal wetlands, mangroves buffer storms, their salt-soaked roots trapping sediment. Louisiana's Avicennia groves cut erosion by 30%, per a 2022 wetland study. In deserts, saltbush stabilizes dunes, a green anchor against wind. Ecologically, their pioneers Salicornia seed salt flats, paving the way for less hardy kin, a slow reclamation. For us, they're gold. Saline agriculture eyes them. Salicornia trials in Dubai yield food on seawater, per a 2021 agronomy report, dodging freshwater woes. Bioremediation taps their knack. Turmeric sucks salt from degraded soils, a 2020 environmental science test showed, healing land for crops. In a warming, salty world, rising seas, desert sprawl, they hint at resilience we might mimic. Their grit inspires, too. Plants spitting salt feel like rebels, flipping a toxin into a tool. They whisper of adaptation's quiet power, life bending not breaking under pressure. From Marsh to Lab, they offer a salty lifeline, a green thread through a harsher earth, a gritty triumph. Salt-spilling plants, mangrove, saltbush, glasswort, thrive in brine by excreting excess, turning poison into prowess. With glands and grit, they rule where others fade, a salty stand against the odds. Next time you taste the sea, think, some plants sip it and spit it back. Chasing the sun, plants that dodge shadows. A plant bending, stretching, or twisting its way out of darkness, racing toward a sliver of light. It's not just growing. It's strategizing, reshaping itself to escape shade's grasp. Some plants can alter their growth patterns to avoid being overshadowed, a quiet rebellion against the dim. From forest floors to crowded gardens, they chase the sun with a cunning we rarely notice. How do they sense the gloom? What drives this green dance? Let's follow their reach and uncover a world where plants refuse to fade into shadow. The science of light pursuit. Plants dodge shade through a mix of phototropism and shade avoidance syndromes, orchestrated by hormones and light sensors. Phototropism, growth toward light, relies on auxin, a chemical that piles up on a stem's dark side, stretching cells to tilt it sunward. A 2019 plant physiology study clocked sunflowers pivoting 10 degrees daily, tracking dawn to dusk. But shade avoidance is trickier, a response to light quality, not just direction. Enter phytochromes, proteins that detect red and far-red light ratios. In sunlight, red dominates. Under a canopy, far-red reflects off leaves, signaling competition. A 2021 Nature Plants paper showed Arabidopsis sensing this shift. Stems elongate, leaves lift, roots shallow, all to outpace rivals. Hormones like gibberellins kick in, pushing growth up to 20% faster per a 2020 Journal of Experimental Botany trial. Some, like vines, climb. Ipomoea coils around trees, its tendrils groping for gaps, a 2018 ecology study found. It's energy-intensive. Longer stems mean less wood. Thinner leaves, less food, but worth it. In dense stands, shade dodgers snag 30% more light, per a 2022 plant ecology model. From grasses to giants, they've honed this chase over millennia, a race where light is life. Fascinating twists toward the sun. Sunflowers, Helianthus annuus, are icons. Young plants twist east to west, then reset overnight, a circadian trick Darwin noted in 1880. A 2016 science study caught them dancing 15 degrees hourly, mature heads locking east for warmth. Vines like clematis spiral up poles, their tips circling 360 degrees in hours. Victorian time-lapse dubbed it plant groping. Ipomoea purpurea, morning glory. Climbs 6 feet in a season, its blooms bursting where light breaks through. Forest underdogs shine, too. Impatiens stretches stems in tree shade, its flowers popping above rivals. A 2019 Ecologia survey clocked it doubling height in weeks. Oxalis, false shamrock, tilts leaves like solar panels, dodging canopy gloom, a trick so deft it's called leaf tracking. In jungles, monstera grows windows, in leaves to let light filter down, a 2020 new phytologist find. Shades work around. History adds quirks. Medieval monks watched pea tendrils curl toward chapel windows, calling it God's pull. Really auxin at play. Today, time-lapse of Arabidopsis dodging lab shadows go viral. Green acrobatics in petri dishes. From sunlit fields to dim woods, these plants bend rules to bask. What shade dodging means. This light chase shapes ecosystems. In forests, shade avoiders like betula birch bolt upward, sculpting layered canopies. Acer below, Pinus above, per a 2021 forest ecology study. It's competition with stakes. Losers wither, winners seed. In grasslands, trifolium clover outstretches grass, snagging 25% more sun, a 2020 ecology letters tally found, fueling richer soil. For us, it's a toolkit. Crop scientists tweak shade responses. Soybeans with boosted gibberellins yield 15% more in dense rows, per 2022 agronomy trial. Urban farms mimic vines, stacking plants vertically for light. Ecologically, it's a climate clue. Plants shifting north as forests thin signal warming. A 2019 Global Change Biology map showed. It's humbling, too. Plants deciding to stretch or climb hint at agency. Light as their North Star, shade their foe. They teach tenacity. No niche is fixed, no shadow final. In their quiet race, we see life's drive distilled, always reaching, always adapting. A green reach for the sky. Plants that dodge shade, twisting, climbing, stretching, chase sunlight with hormonal guile. From sunflower sways to vine spirals, they defy gloom, rewriting growth for survival. Next time you spot a plant leaning odd, pause. It's not just growing, it's hunting the sun. Playing dead, plants that fool predators. Picture a plant under threat. A deer's nose sniffs closer, a finger brushes its leaves. Suddenly it collapses, leaves folding shut, drooping like a corpse. Then, untouched, it rises again, alive as ever. This is a trick of plants like Mimosa pudica, the sensitive plant, which fakes death to dodge being eaten. In gardens and wilds, these green actors stage dramatic flops to outweak grazers. How they pull off this ruse? What's behind their leafy theater? Let's peek behind the curtain of plants that play possum with eerie flair. The science of feigned fall. Mimosa pudica's death is stigma nasty, movement triggered by touch, not a conscious act, but a reflex wired into its cells. When brushed, pressure hits tiny hairs on its leaves, sparking an electrical signal, akin to a nerve pulse. Per a 2020 plant physiology study, this jolts pulvini, swollen cells at leaf bases, where potassium ions flood out, dropping water pressure fast. Leaves fold and stems droop in seconds, a collapse clocked at 300 milliseconds in a 2018 Journal of Experimental Botany trial. It's hydraulics, not muscles. Water shift deflate the plant like a punctured balloon. A 2021 new phytologist analysis found calcium spikes amplify the signal, a chemical cascade mimicking animal reflexes. Once the threat passes, pumps restore ions, and it reopens in 10 to 20 minutes. This costs energy, sugars burned, growth pause, but saves a plant. Herbivores, startled or bored, move on, per a 2019 ecology field test showing goats skipping folded mimosa. Other plants join the act. Certain grasses wilt under trampling, then rebound. A 2020 ecologia study suggests it's a milder thigmonasty. Mimosa stands out, though. Its flop is so stark, it's dubbed the shy plant, a living bluff honed by evolution to dodge a bite. Fascinating flops and fakes. Mimosa pudica is a star, native to South America, now global. Its fern-like leaves snap shut at a tap. Kids poking for fun. A 2017 viral video clocked it folding to a sneeze. In Brazil, Cerrado, it flops when ants swarm, shaking them off. Ants prefer steady footing, a 2019 ecology letters note found. It even learns. A 2016 ecologia study dropped it repeatedly. After 5 tries, it stopped closing, knowing no harm came, a memory hinting at plant smarts. Other fakers glimmer. Oxalis, false shamrock, droops leaves at night or touch, a half-death to deter nibbles. Victorians called it Sleeping Beauty. Desmodium gyrans, the telegraph plant, twirls leaflets but flops under threat. A 2020 plant signaling clip showed. Grasses like Fescica play subtler, bending flat on the hose, then springing up. A 2018 grassland science survey caught in Mongolia. History loves it. Linnaeus named mimosa in 1753, awed by its sensitive soul. Monks grew it as a marvel. In India, it's Lajvanishai lady, a folk cure for nerves, ironic for a plant so jumpy. From lab to legend, its collapse captivates, a green mime dodging fate. What fakery reveals? This death play is defense with flair. For mimosa, folding startles grazers. Deer hesitate. Rabbits hop off, cutting herbivory by 40% per 2021 plant ecology study. Its mimicry, too, wilted look signal not worth eating. A bluff herbivores by. In dense tropics, it's a shield against ants or beetles, shaking off climbers. Evolution favors a ruse. Energy spent on flops beats losing leaves. Science digs deeper. Mimosa's learning hints at plasticity. Plants adapting beyond instinct. A 2020 Nature reviews neuroscience debate mused. Bioengineers eye it. Soft robots mimic Polvini for touch-sensitive grips, per a 2022 MIT trial. Ecologically, it's a niche trick. Mimosa thrives where grazers roam, a feigned fall carving its base. It's eerie, too. A plant dying, then rising feels alive in a way that unsettles. Less flora, more actor. It whispers of cunning we overlook. A green mind playing dead to live. In every droop there's a lesson. Survival bends, even fakes, to win. Death's disguise. Mimosa pudica and its kin fake death. Folding, drooping, to dodge being eaten, a touch-triggered ruse. With water and signals, they fool foes, a botanical bluff of shy genius. Next time you brush a leaf and it falls, smile. It's not gone, it's just outsmarting you. Fungal friends, plants and their underground allies. Beneath the soil, where roots twist and darkness reigns, a quiet partnership thrives. Plants don't grow alone. They entwine with fungi, forming a symbiotic bond that's fed life for eons. This mycorrhizal relationship ties roots to fungal threads, swapping sugars for water and nutrients in a deal older than forests. From towering pines to fragile orchids, these allies hum beneath our feet. A hidden handshake shaping the green world. How does this underground pact work? What secrets does it weave? Let's dig into the roots and unearth a friendship that's more than meets the eye. The science of a root-fungus pact. Mycorrhizae, literally fungus roots, link plants and fungi in a trait as elegant as is ancient. Two main types dominate. Arbuscular mycorrhizae EM, where fungi like glomus penetrate root cells, and ectomycorrhizae EM, where boletus or physalis wrap roots in the sheath. A 2020 Nature Reviews microbiology study estimates 90% of land plants lean on this bond, their roots hosting fungal hyphae, filaments finer than hair. Plants pump sugars, up to 20% of their photosynthetic haul, into fungi, per a 2021 plant physiology analysis. Fungi repay with phosphorus, nitrogen, and water, mined from soil via sprawling network. Hyphae stretch meters, tapping pockets roots can't reach. A 2019 new phytologist trial found pinus roots with fungi snag 50% more nutrients. Some AM fungi even digest organic matter, unlocking riches for their host, a 2020 soil biology study showed. It's not charity, both win. Fungi get carbon they can't make. Plants get essentials in stingy soils. Signals seal the deal. Roots release strigolactones. Fungi reply with mixed factors, per a 2022 Journal of Experimental Botany map, a chemical handshake syncing their lives. From deserts to tundras, the symbiosis fuels growth where solitude would fail. Fascinating ties that bind. Orchids lean hardest. Seeds won't sprout without fungal sugar, a 2018 Ecology Letters study found. Corallarhiza, the coral root, ditches chlorophyll entirely, a ghostly parasite on its fungal friend. Pines flex muscle. Pinus sylvestris in Scandinavia pairs with 100 fungal species. Its roots a hub per 2024's Ecology Survey. Truffles, those gourmet gems, are EM fungi. Tuber melanosporum cuddles oak roots, a delicacy born of symbiosis. The web dazzles. In Canada, a pseudotsuga, Douglas fir, shares carbon with saplings via rhizopogon, a mother tree. Lifeline Suzanne Samar traced in 1997 Nature. A single teaspoon of forest soil holds kilometers of hyphae, a 2019 Science estimate. Life's secret sprawl. Fossils gnawed to it. For 20-million year, old aglaopton roots bear fungal scars. A 2021 paleontology find tying this pact to Earth's greening. History whispers, too. Medieval peasants prize fairy rings, mushroom circles from EM fungi. Thinking magic, really, it's symbiosis at play. Today, gardeners boost roses with mycorrhizal dust, echoing a bond as old as land itself. From truffle hunts to forest hum, these allies weave tales beneath our boots. What symbiosis sells? This pact reshapes landscapes. In forests, mycorrhizae lift trees survival 25% in drought, per a 2022 PNAS study, pooling water through fungal pipes. In grasslands, trifolium clover, with AM fungi fixes more nitrogen, enriching soil. A 2020 agronomy trial saw yields jump 15%. Ecologically, it's glue. Fungi bind dirt, curb erosion, feed microbes, a web holding life steady. For us, it's a boon. Crop fungi, sold as inoculants, cut fertilizer use by 30% per 2021 soil science test, greening farms. Conservationists mimic it. Reforesting with mycorrhizae speeds growth, a 2020 restoration ecology case proved in Brazil. Science probes deeper. Could fungal genes tweak plants for harsher climes? A 2022 genome biology hint says yes. It's humbling, too. Plants and fungi, locked in embrace, hint at cooperation over conquest. Life is a team, not a solo. They whisper of roots we share, a symbiosis echoing in our own reliance on unseen allies. In their quiet trade, there's a truth. Nothing grows alone. A bond beneath. Plants and fungi, fuse and mycorrhizal love, trade life through soil's dark veins. From orchid whispers to pine might, they've built a world together, ancient and alive. Next time you tread earth, feel it. A partnership hums below, a silent pact feeding the green. Fire and ice, plants that endure extremes. Imagine a plant baking under a desert sun, its leaves shimmering at 120 degrees Fahrenheit, or another huddled in tundra frost, thriving at minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. From scorching sands to icy plains, some plants defy temperature extremes that would torch or freeze most life. These green survivors, cacti, alpine cushions, desert lilies, bend nature's rules, carving homes in Earth's harshest corners. How do they shrug off heat and cold? What secrets armor them against the elements? Let's wander into the realms of fire and ice and marvel at plants that laugh at limits. The science of temperature triumph. In deserts, plants like saguaro cacti, Carnegie gigantea, face blistering days and chilly nights. They hoard water in spongy stems, up to 1,000 gallons, per a 2020 plant physiology study, a buffer against drought and heat. Waxy cuticles seal moisture in, while shallow roots gulp rare rain fast. A 2019 new phytologist analysis found agave reflects sunlight with pale hairs, dropping leaf temps by 10 degrees Celsius. Nature sunscreen. Some, like Welwitschia, slow metabolism to a crawl. Sipping fog through leaves, a 2021 Journal of Arid Environments trick. In tundra, Silene caulis, moss campion, hugs the ground in dense cushions, trapping heat and blocking wind. Surface temps hit 70 degrees Fahrenheit, while air dips below zero, per a 2018 Arctic science measure. Antifreeze proteins flood cells, preventing ice crystals, a 2020 plant cell study showed in Saxifraga. Roots dig deep or stay shallow, dodging permafrost, while dark leaves soak sparse sun. A 2021 ecology find clock dryas absorbing 20% more light. Both extremes demand grit. Desert yucca shuts stomata by day, breathing at night to save water. CM photosynthesis, per 2019 Ecologia map. Tundra Salix arctica, Arctic willow, grows a centimeter yearly, banking on brief summers. From minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, these plants rewrite survival with chemistry and shape. Fascinating extremists. Saguaro looms in Arizona. 50 feet tall, 200 years old, its ribs expanding like an accordion with rain, a 2017 desert plant snapshot caught. Welwitschia mirabilis in Namibia, dubbed living fossil, endures 2,000 years, its two leaves shredded by sand yet green. Botswana lore calls it plant of the gods. Yucca brevifolia, Joshua tree, spikes Mojave sands, its spiky crown a heat shield, punk rock of the desert. Tundra's tiny titans dazzle, too. Silene caulis carpets Alps and Arctic, its pink blooms defying snow. A 2020 alpine botany count found 500 plants per square meter. Dry as octopetala blankets Greenland, its white petals a summer flare, fossils tied to ice age ends. Salix arctica creeps flat, a woody dwarf. Canada's Ellesmere Island hosts clump centuries old, per a 2019 Arctic dig. History nods. Bedouins tap turmerics for shade. Inuit ate empetrum berries from frozen mats. Extremes breed oddity. Opuntia cacti glow red in cold snaps, a 2018 Cactus Journal quirk. From dunes to ice, these plants stand as relics of resilience, green in a world of gray. What extremes teach? These survivors anchor ecosystems. In deserts, saguaro shelters birds, its fruit feeding bats. A 2021 ecology letters study tied to 30 species. Tundra dryas fixes nitrogen, priming soil for others. Arctic plots double plant cover in decades, per 2020 Global Change Biology Map. They're pioneers, taming the untamable. For us, they're labs. Desert CM inspires water-efficient crops. Maize trials cut use by 15%, per 2022 agronomy test. Tundra antifreeze genes hint at frost-proof plants. A 2021 biotech advances hope. Climate science leans on them. Welwitschia fossils track ancient aridity. Salix shifts signal warming. Vital data as Earth heats. They are, too. Plants enduring fire and ice field defiant. Life where it shouldn't be. They whisper of limits pushed, of Earth's wild edges holding fast. In their stubborn green, there's a mirror. Adapt, endure, bloom, no matter the odds. Green defiance. From desert furnaces to tundra freezes, plants like cacti and cushions conquer extremes. With water tricks and frost shields, they thrive where others falter, green rebels in harsh lands. Next time you feel the heat or chill, think, some plants call a home. Dawn of green, Earth's first plants. 470 million years ago, a barren sprawl of rock and mud, no forest, no flowers, just a silent, gray expanse. Then, from slimy pools, tiny green threads emerge, the first plants to claim land's edge. These pioneers, humble and moss-like, sparked a revolution that greened the planet and breathed life into its air. Long before trees or grasses, they set roots in a world unready for their gift. What were these trailblazers? How did they conquer stone? Let's step back to the dawn of green and trace the spark that changed everything. The science of a green genesis. The first land plants appeared in the Ordovician, around 470 million years ago, descendants of aquatic algae. Fossils like Cooksonia, a simple stem with spore sacs, no leaves or roots, mark this leap per a 2020 paleontology study. These pioneers weren't fancy. A few centimeters tall, they clung to damp soils, spreading spores like dust. A 2021 new phytologist analysis ties them to charophyte algae, their water-to-land jump fueled by photosynthesis. Chlorophyll snagging sunlight to split CO2 and water. Survival demanded tricks. Cuticles, waxy coats, kept them from drying. A 2019 plant physiology find in Cooksonia scraps. Sporopollenin, a tough polymer, armored spores against UV rays. Fossils from Saudi Arabia, dated 465 million years. Glow with it. Roots were absent. Instead, rhizoids, hair-like anchors, sucked moisture from mud, per a 2020 Journal of Experimental Botany model. Mycorrhizal fungi, likely tagged along, a 2021 science hint from fungal traces. Early teamwork greening sterile ground. It was slow millennia to spread, but pivotal. By 450 million years ago, moss-like mats carpeted coasts. Their decay birthing soil, a 2022 geobiology study showed. These plants weren't just settlers. They were terraformers, setting Earth's stage for life's next act. Fascinating sprouts of the past. Cooksonia steals a fossil spotlight. Found from New York to Siberia, its Y-shaped stems, topped with sporangia, for 70-million-year-old rocks. A 2018 paleontology dig unearthed a clump an inch tall, Earth's first forest, if you squint. Bearguanathia, from Australia, pushed further, 6 inches, with leaf-like scales, hinting at complexity by 460 million years, per 2020 review of paleobotany. Their world was alien, volcanic ash, no animals on land, just microbial crusts. Fossils near Oman, dated 475 million years, show spore tetrads, 4 packs hinting at algal kin, glinting under microscopes. Zostrophyllum, a step up, sprouted by 450 million years, its spiky stems a bridge to ferns. A 2019 Nature Geoscience find caught them in silica, preserved mid-spore. Time snapshot of green's dawn. History marvels at them. Victorian fossil hunters dubbed Cooksonia Plant Zero, awed by its simplicity. Indigenous tales of stone moss echo their spread, myths of life from rock. Tiny frail, They loom large, each spore a seed for forests unborn, what the first plants wrought. These pioneers didn't just grow, they reshaped Earth. Photosynthesis pumped oxygen, nudging levels from 10% to 15% by the Silurian. Per 2021 Earth Science Review's model, air for bugs and beasts. Their roots cracked rock, leaching minerals into seas, cooling the planet. A 2020 Nature Communications study ties this to a late Ordovician ice age. Soil formed, a microbial stew hosting life's next wave. For science, they're Rosetta Stone. Cooksonia fossils calibrate plant evolution. Genes in modern moss match its tricks, a 2022 genome biology map found. Climate models lean on them. Oxygen spikes fuel coal eras, a legacy in today's fossil fuels. Ecologically, they're roots of roots. Every forest, every blade, traces back to their muddy stand. They awe us, too. Plants on a lifeless earth feel like rebels. Green sparks in the gray void. They whisper beginnings of life's knack for claiming the unclaimable. In their silent spread, there's a truth. The smallest starts can shift a world. A spark in mud. Around 470 million years ago, Earth's first plants, Cooksonia and kin, greened a barren land. With spores and grit, they breathed oxygen, built soil, and birthed a living planet. Next time you touch dirt, think, it began with them, a green dawn still echoing. Giant of old, when ferns touch the sky. Picture a forest where ferns tower 100 feet, their fronds casting shade like oaks and horsetail spikes skyward. Thickest trunks. This isn't fantasy. It's Earth 300 million years ago, when ancient plants stood as giants, ruling a world before flowers or pines. In the Carboniferous, ferns and horsetails didn't just creep. They loomed, their green spires a lost age of botanical titans. How did they grow so grand? What felled these leafy lords? Let's climb into a fossil forest and gaze up at giants time forgot, the science of prehistoric height. During the Carboniferous, 359 to 299 million years ago, plants like lepidodendron, club moss kin, calamites, horsetails, and tree fern Ceronius hit tree-size heights. Lepidodendron reached 130 feet, its bark diamond-patterned, per a 2020 paleontology study. Lignin, a woody polymer, gave its strength, a trait rare in modern kin. Horsetails like calamites soared 60 to 100 feet, their hollow, bamboo-like stems braced by silica, a 2021 review of paleobotany find confirmed. No true leaves, fronds, or scales caught light, fueled by swampy, CO2, rich air, 3,500 ppm versus today's 410. A 2019 Nature Geoscience model shows photosynthesis thrive, pumping sugars into growth. Shallow roots sprawled in wet soils, no deep tap needed. Fungi likely helped, per 2020 new phytologist fungal traces. Reproduction was spore-based, not seeds. Ceronius fronds dropped millions. Carpeting swamps, a 2021 Journal of Paleontology dig revealed. Climate juiced them warm, wet, no frost, letting giants stand centuries, per a 2022 Earth Science Review's climate map. But size had limits. Competition and cooling in the Permian shrank them, leaving fossils as their legacy. Coal beds we burn today. Fascinating towers of the past. Lepidodendron ruled. 50 feet wide at base, its top a crown of needle-like leaves. Fossils from Illinois show. A 2018 paleontology slab caught one mid-fall, 100 feet of prehistoric timber. Calamites spiked like green pipes. 30 feet in Joggins, Nova Scotia. Their rings a fossil fingerprint. Miners called them pit props in 19th century coal seams. Tree ferns like Ceronius hit 30 to 50 feet, their fronds 10 feet long. Brazil's 2020 digs unveiled a grove, a fern skyscraper row. Their world hummed. Giant dragonflies, 2-foot wings, buzzed under canopies, per a 2019 paleoentomology find. Swamps bubbled, oxygen hit 35%, a 2021 geobiology estimate. Fueling fires that charred fossils black. Horsetails left casts. Hollow trunks in Yorkshire, 60 feet tall, all Victorian collectors who mistook them for reeds on steroids. Oddly, they dwarf kin today. Modern ferns top 20 feet. Horsetails limp at 6. Equisetum relics of giants. Coal ties us to them. Each lump a compressed giant, a 2020 energy study traced. From swamp lords of fossil fuel, their reign echoes in stone and flame. What giants left behind? These titans shaped Earth. Their forests suck CO2, cooling the planet. A 2022 Nature Communications model links them to late Carboniferous ice. Roots churn mud into soil, hosting early bugs. Lepidodendron bases cradle millipedes, per a 2019 paleoecology find. Dead, they sank, forming coal. 80% of today's reserves, a 2021 geology tally says. Powering our world from theirs. Science mines them. Fossil rings track ancient rains. Calamites logs from Poland hint at monsoons, a 2020 paleoclimatology clue. Evolutionists trace lignins rise. Modern trees owe them, a 2022 genome biology gene map suggests. Ecologically, they're ghosts. Coal's carbon footprint, a dark gift from their fall. They awe us, too. Ferns as trees feel alien, green towers lost time. They whisper a scale of a planet wilder than ours. In their fossil fronds, there's a tale. Giants fade, but their shadow lingers, fueling fires and dreams. Green towers fallen. Once, ferns and horsetails stood tall as trees. Lepidodendron, calamites, ruling Carboniferous swamps. With lignin and spores, they touched the sky, then sank to coal. Next time you see a fern, imagine it's a dwarf of giants, echoing a lost green rain. Blossoms that changed the world. The flower revolution. Earth 130 million years ago, lush with ferns and cycads, a green monotone of spikes and fronds. Then, a spark ignites. Flowers bloom, their petals a riot of color and scent, rewriting nature's rules. This was the rise of angiosperms, the flowering plants, a revolution that reshaped ecosystems in the Cretaceous and beyond. From quiet seeds to dazzling blooms, they seduced insects, birthed fruits, and greened the planet anew. How did flowers flip the script? What ripples did they send? Let's unfurl the petals of a change that still scents our air. The science of a floral coup. Flowers emerged around 130 million years ago, though fossils push origins to 140 million, per a 2021 Nature Plant study. Early angiosperms, like Archifructus, a water plant, sported simple blooms, per a 2019 paleontology find in China. Their edge? Reproduction. Unlike fern spores or gymnosperms cones, flowers paired sex with show. Petals, nectar, and pollen lured insects. A 2020 new phytologist model shows bees and flies co-evolving fast. Genes fueled it. The ABC model, mapped in a 2022 plant cell study, shows how floral genes layered sepals, petals, stamens, and carpels, a blueprint for diversity. Pigments like anthocyanin splash color, UV patterns guiding bugs, per a 2019 Journal of Experimental Botany scan. Seeds wrapped in fruit. Think magnolia's fleshy cones, spread via animals, a 2021 Ecology Letters fossil hint. Faster life cycles, months, not years, let angiosperms outpace rivals, a 2020 Science analysis clocked. By 100 million years ago, they dominated 80% of plant fossils by the late Cretaceous, per a 2022 paleogeography tally. CO2, rich air and warming fed their spread, a floral wave that turned Earth into a blooming lab. Fascinating petals of power. Archifructus kicks it off. 120-million year. Old fossils show a lily-like bloom, no petals, just function. Found in Liaoning, China, a 2018 paleontology gem. Leaf fructus, from 125 million years ago, adds flair. Petals hinting at insect love. Amber traps tell tales. 2020 Nature finds caught bees with pollen, 99 million years old. Mid-Cretaceous dance partners frozen in resin. Dinosaurs knew them. Triceratops munch magnolias, per a 2019 paleoecology coprolite study. Fruits fatten herds. Amberella, a living relic in New Caledonia. Blooms today like its ancestors. Small, white, a 2021 Botanical Journal nod to the past. By 80 million years ago, giants bloomed. Rafflesia-like kin, per a 2020 review of paleobotany guess, stinking up jungles. History bows. Darwin called it an abominable mystery. Flowers' sudden rise baffled him in 1879. Fossil beds, like Patagonia's 100-million year, old roses, stunned diggers, petals pressing stone. From dino dung to our bouquets, their rain sprouted a world we know. What flowers wrought. Flowers didn't just grow. They rebooted life. Pollinators exploded. Bees, butterflies, bats. Diversity tripled by 90 million years ago, per 2022 ecology count. Tide and nectar's bribe. Fruits fed mammals. Early primates gorged, a 2021 science advances linked to our lineage. Forests layered. Angiosperms like Nothofagus outgrew conifers. A 2024's ecology map shows. Shading new niches. For us, they're roots. Crops, wheat, rice, apples. Trace to that bloom, 80% of food from angiosperms, per 2019 FAO stat. Ecosystems lean on them. Grasslands to jungles. Carbon sinks born of speed. A 2022 global change biology nod. Science probes their genes. Arabidopsis unlocks floral tricks. A 2021 genome biology key for climate crops. They are, too. Flowers turn green to art. Petals are packed with life. Beauty with purpose. They whisper change, a quiet bloom sparking a noisy world. In every bud, there's a revolution, still unfolding beneath our noses. A petal's power. Flowers bloomed 130 million years ago, a revolution in color and seed. Luring bugs, feeding beasts. They greened are the new, a floral coup still alive. Next time you sniff a rose, feel it. A Cretaceous spark that remade the world. Stone roots, the world's oldest forest. Picture a forest frozen in time. Trunks petrified mid-growth, roots locked in ancient mud. A snapshot of Earth 385 million years ago. This is a Gilboa fossil forest in New York, the oldest known woodland, a Devonian relic where plants first stood tall. No leaves rustle, no birds sing. Just stone echoes of green dawn when land learned to wear a canopy. What grew in this primordial grove? How did it turn to rock? Let's walk among these fossil giants and touch a world where trees took their first stand. The science of a petrified past. The Gilboa forest, dated to 385 million years ago, thrived in the mid-Devonian, a time of swampy coasts and rising oxygen. Its stars were Archaeopteris, not true trees but close, reaching 30 feet, with fern-like fronds and woody stems, per a 2020 paleontology study. Eospermatopterus, a palm-like pioneer, hit 25 feet, its bulbous base anchoring shallow roots. A 2021 review of paleobotany find confirmed. No flowers or cones. Spores dusted the air. A 2019 new phytologist fossil shows. Fossilization locked them in. Floods buried the grove in sediment. Silica seeping into cells, turning with a stone. Quartz replicas, per 2022 geobiology analysis. Roots spread wide, not deep, up to 20 feet across. Gripping wet soil, a 2020 Journal of Sedimentary Research map traced. Watiza, an early tree, joined them. Its 26-foot frame a bridge to modern forests, per a 2018 paleontology dig. Climate helped, warm, wet, CO2 at 2,000 ppm. Feeding lush growth, a 2021 Earth Science Reviews model suggests. Oxygen hit 20%, priming soils for decay and preservation. This wasn't a lone stand. It's Earth's first known forest, a green leap from mossy mats to wooded worlds. Fascinating echoes in stone. Gilboa's fossil stun, Eospermatopterus stumps, 3 feet wide, litter Schoharie Valley, unearthed in the 1920s after quarry floods. A 2017 paleontology haul revealed 30-foot Archaeopteris trunks, their fronds fossilized mid-splay, New York's stone jungle. Roots fan out like starbursts. A 2020 Nature Geoscience slab shows, hinting at swamp sprawl, 20 stumps in 1,200 square feet. Their world buzzed. Early spiders and mites crawled stumps, per 2019 paleoentomology spec. No dinosaurs yet, just fish in nearby seas, a prequel to Land's Boom. Watiza fronds, 6 feet long, cast shade. Fossils from Belgium match Gilboas, a 2021 paleobiology link. Stumps bear scars, floods or storms. A 2020 sedimentology clue to wild weather. History grabbed them. In 1870, quarrymen split rocks, jaws dropping at tree stones. Gilboa became a paleo prize. Locals call it the petrified swamp, a nod to muddy roots now museum stars. From quarry dust to display cases, these giants whisper of a green birth petrified in time. What the oldest forest means. Gilboa's trees didn't just grow, they built earth anew. Roots cracked rock, birthing soil. A 2022 geology study ties them to Devonian weathering, cooling the planet. They suck CO2, dropping levels 25%. Per a 2021 Nature Communications model, oxygen rose, paving way for bugs and beasts. Swamps sank. Seeding coal, a 2020 energy nod to their carbon ghost. Science leans on them. Archaeopteryst fossils calibrate plant evolution. Modern conifers echo its wood, a 2022 genome biology hint. Climate tales unfold rings or lack thereof. Track wet eons, a 2021 paleoclimatology lens. Ecologically, their roots of forests, every oak, every pine, owes them a bow. They are, too. Stone trees feel like time's trick. Life caught mid-breath, a forest-turned monument. They whisper first of a planet stretching green fingers skyward. In their rocky hush, there's a saga. From mud to majesty, they stood where none had before. Roots in stone. The Gilboa Forest, 385 million years old, stands as Earth's oldest petrified grove. Archaeopteryst Watiza, rooted in stone. They greened a barren world, their fossils a silent birth cry. Next time you touch a tree, feel it. Its kin began here, in a swamp turned eternal. Breath givers, plants that build our air. Imagine Earth 2.4 billion years ago, a choking haze of methane and CO2, no breathable air, just a stew of rock and sea. Then tiny green specks, cyanobacteria, begin to exhale, pumping oxygen into a lifeless sky. Over eons, plants take the baton, their photosynthesis forging the oxygen-rich atmosphere we inhale today. From ancient algae to sprawling forests, they didn't just grow, they gifted us breath. How did they reshape the planet's lungs? What legacy lingers in each gasp? Let's trace the green thread that made air a miracle, the science of an oxygen dawn. It starts with cyanobacteria, Earth's first plants, single-celled photosynthetic powerhouses. Around 2.4 billion years ago, during the Great Oxidation Event GOE, they split water with sunlight, releasing O2 as waste per a 2021 Nature Geoscience study. Stromatolites layered mounds of these microbes, fossilized in Australia, dated 2.7 billion years, show oxygen bubbling free, a 2020 paleontology find confirms. Levels crept from near 0 to 1 to 2%, oxidizing iron into rust bands. Red rocks we mine today. Land plants amplified it. By 470 million years ago, moss-like pioneers Cooksonia, green shores, their photosynthesis doubling oxygen to 15% by the Devonian, per a 2022 Earth Science Reviews model. Carboniferous giants, 100-foot ferns, push it to 35%, a 2021 geobiology peak, burying carbon in swamps, today's coal. Chlorophyll's magic, see O2 in, O2 out, ran wild. A 2020 new phytologist equation shows each plant a tiny air factory. Balance came later. Oxygen stabilized at 21% by 200 million years ago, a 2019 science tally. Plants and plankton in sync, oceans and forests breathing as one. They didn't just add gas, they cooled Earth, locked carbon, and birthed a biosphere where lungs could thrive. Fascinating breaths of history. Stromatolite star, Shark Bay, Australia, hosts living ones, 3,500 years old, still puffing oxygen, a 2020 Nature glimpse at the GOE's echo. Banded iron formations, 2.4 billion year, old red streaks in Minnesota. Paint oxygens rise, rust from microbial exhale, per 2021 geology dig. Cyanobacteria fossils, like 2 billion year, old Grapania, coil in Michigan rocks, a 2019 paleoecology find of life's airmakers. Lands turned dazzles. Devonian Archaeopteryst forests, 385 million years old. Spiked oxygen. Gilboa fossils hint at Swampy Breath, a 2020 paleontology nod. Carboniferous coal swamps, lepidodendron giants, lock CO2. They're 35% O2 fueling dragonflies with 2-foot wings per 2022 paleoentomology cast. Amber from 90 million years ago traps bubbles. 21% oxygen. A 2021 paleobiology test ties to angiosperm bloom. History bows. Ancient Sumerians carved breath of life on clay. Unknowing thanks to plants. Miners split coal, marveling at black air. Carbon from those forests, a 2018 energy link. Each breath we take, 21% O2, echoes their work. A gift from slime to spire. What oxygen built. Plants didn't just oxygenate. They remade Earth. The GOE killed anaerobic microbes, paving way for complex life. Cambrian critters swam in new air, a 2022 Nature Communications tie. Forest cool climate. CO2 drops triggered ice ages. A 2021 global change biology model shows, while oxygen fed fires, shaping ecosystems, per a 2020 ecology note. Coal and oil, plant graves, power us. A 2019 geology stat pegs 80% of energy to their carbon. Science owes them. Oxygen isotopes and fossils. 2.4 billion year old rocks. Track to GOE, a 2021 Earth Science reviews clock. Photosynthesis inspires. Solar panels mimic chlorophyll, a 2022 energy advances nod. Ecologically, their lungs, plankton and trees pump 50% of O2 today, per a 2020 oceanography count. A balance we tilt with deforestation. They are too. Air from ancient green feels like magic, a planet choking, then breathing, all from plants. They whisper power, small starts, vast ends. Every inhale carries their signature, a debt we live but rarely name. Every breath's echo. Plants. Cyanobacteria to ferns, built Earth's oxygen-rich air from 2.4 billion years ago to now. Exhaling life. They greened rock, cooled skies, and birth breath. Next time you breathe, feel it. An ancient gift, still flowing from green to you. Grain of empire, wheat civilizing sway. Imagine a world without cities, where humans roam as hunters, tethered to the wild. Then, around 10,000 years ago, a humble grass, wheat, bends under human hands. Its seeds tamed into a force that forges civilization itself. From the Fertile Crescent's dusty hills, this grain didn't just feed mouths. It built empires, sparked writing, and rooted us to the land. A single stalk rewrote our story, turning nomads into farmers, villages into nations. How did wheat weave this magic? What echoes linger in every loaf? Let's sift through the chaff and uncover the grain that changed everything. The science of a seed revolution. Wheat's domestication began with wild ancestors, einkorn, Triticum bioticum, and emmer, Triticum dicoccum. In the Fertile Crescent, a crescent of fertile land arcing from modern-day Iraq to Turkey. Around 9,600 BCE, humans noticed mutants, plants with non-shattering heads, seeds clinging to stalks instead of scattering, per a 2020 Nature Plant study. Selective breeding locked this in. By 8500 BCE, domesticated Triticum aestivum, bred wheat, emerged. Its plump grains a caloric gold mine, a 2021 Journal of Archaeological Science genetic map shows. The payoff was huge. While wheat yielded 50 seeds per plant, domesticated strains hit 200 per a 2019 new phytologist tally. Gluten proteins, gliadins, and glutenins made dough stretchy, a 2020 food chemistry find, birthing flatbreads and loaves. Farming locked it. Wheat needs sowing, weeding, harvesting. Rooting humans to plots, a 2022 Science advances model ties to sedentary life. Polyploidy, extra chromosomes from crossbreeding, boosted resilience, letting it spread from Mesopotamia to Europe by 5000 BCE, per a 2021 genome biology trace. It wasn't just food, it was fuel. A hectare fed a family. Surplus fed cities. A shift from foraging's hand to mouth, a 2020 archaeology study clocked. Wheat's taming wasn't lone, barley and lentils joined, but it led a green spark for humanity's leap. Fascinating sprouts of society. The Fertile Crescent birthed it, Gobekli Tepe, a 9600 BCE site. Hints at wheat luring hunters to settle, per 2018 paleoanthropology dig. Temples before farms, a twist on old tales. By 1700 BCE, Jericho's walls rose, guarding grain silos, a 2020 antiquity find. Sumerians kneaded dough by 3000 BCE. Clay tablets list bread types, a 2019 Near Eastern archaeology nod. Beer, too, from fermented wheat, a brew of gods. Egypt's pyramids leaned on it. Workers down 5,000-calorie wheat loaves, per 2021 Egyptologist study. Fuel for Giza stones. Rome's panis bread fed legions. Its fields stretching Gaul to Africa, a 2020 classical studies map shows. Bread's rise was literal. Leavening came late. 1500 BC Egypt. Yeast a wild catch, per 2019 Nature Crumb analysis. Oddly, wheat-shaped words. Sumerian cuneiform. 3100 BCE. Track harvest. Birthing writing, a 2021 linguistics link. From flatbreads of UR to Rome's ovens. It's in lore, Bible's staff of life, Norse sagas of golden fields. Each kernel carried history, a quiet giant in dusty hands. What wheat wrought. Wheat didn't just feed, it forged. Agriculture's dawn swelled populations. 10 million by 1500 BCE, a 2022 PNAS estimate, from wheat surplus. Villages bloomed. Cattle housed 8,000, its silos stuffed, per 2020 archaeology survey. Cities followed, Uruk to Athens. Labor split, farmers, priests, kings. Wheat's bounty birthing hierarchy, a 2021 social evolution theory ties. Trade rode its waves. Phoenicians shipped grain. Coins stamped with sheaves, a 2020 numismatics nod. War II. Rome's bread doles quelled riots, a 2019 history note, while famines toppled kings. Today, 35% of calories come from wheat per 2021 FAO stat. Bread, pasta, a global staff still leaning on that ancient tweak. It's a mirror, too. Domestication locked us. Fields chain labor, a 2022 anthropology critique muses. Yet freed art, science, law. Climate shifts tested. Droughts echo old woes, a 2021 global change biology warning. In every slice, there's a pact. Wheat shaped us as we shaped it, a bond in every bite. From seed to bread, wheat's domestication. 10,000 years ago, turned grass to gold, nomads and nations. With genes and grit, it fed cities, wrote history, and rooted us deep. Next time you break bread, taste it. A grain that didn't just grow, it built the world. Bounce of progress, rubber's industrial rain. Imagine a world of creaking wood and rigid iron. Then a tree's milky sap flows in, bending the gears of progress. The rubber tree, Hevea brasiliensis, didn't just grow in Amazon jungles. It fueled the Industrial Revolution, its latex stretching into tires, belts, and boots that powered an age of machines. From muddy trails to factory floors, this plant turned a sticky trickle into a global force, bouncing empires into modernity. How did rubber reshape industry? What scars did it leave? Let's tap into the tree that rolled the world forward, the science of a stretchy breakthrough. Hevea brasiliensis thrives in the Amazon, its bark oozing latex, a polymer called polyisoprene. When slashed per a 2020 plant physiology study, indigenous tribes boiled it into crude balls, but the game changer came in 1839. Charles Goodyear's vulcanization. Mixing latex with sulfur and heat, he made rubber tough, elastic, and weatherproof. A 2021 Journal of Materials Science breakdown shows raw latex melts at 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Vulcanized holds to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Trees yield 2 to 4 pounds yearly, tapped via spiral cuts. Latex drips into cups, a 2019 tropical agriculture measure clocked. A single plantation tree, grown from 1876 Kew Garden seeds, can pump out 10 gallons over decades, per a 2020 Botanical Journal tally. Chemistry sealed it. Carbon chains and polyisoprene flex and snapback, a 2022 Polymer Science map explains. Perfect for industrial strain. Rubber's rise wasn't instant. Early latex rotted or stiffened, but vulcanization cracked it, sinking with steam engines and railways. By 1900, Southeast Asia's plantations outpace wild Amazon groves, a 2021 economic botany shift. Science turned sap into steel's partner, a botanical cog in progress's wheel. Fascinating flow of an era. Rubber hit the ground running, literally. John Dunlop's 1888 pneumatic tire, puffed with Hevia latex, smooth bikes, then cars. Ford's Model T rolled on it by 1908, a 2020 automotive history nod. Factories hummed. Conveyor belts of vulcanized rubber-linked looms, a 2019 industrial archaeology find from Manchester. Raincoats, boots, gaskets. 1870s London streets splashed with rubber gear, per 2021 Victorian study sketch. The Amazon boomed. Manaus, Brazil, glittered with rubber baron mansions. Its opera house lit by 1896 prophets, a 2020 Latin American history tale. One tree's latex fetched $3 in 1900. $100 a day, a 2019 economic history stat. Congo's dark twist. Leopold's 1890s rubber terror killed millions, per 2022 African studies count. Shows sap's bloody price. Oddly, it bounced into culture. Rubber balls amused kids. Galoshes entered slang. Henry Wickham's 1876 seed heist. 70,000 from Brazil to Q. Cracked Amazon's grip, a 2021 Botanical Review caper. From jungle cuts to plantation rows, rubber stretched an age into motion. What rubber rolled in? Rubber didn't just cushion, it drove. The Industrial Revolution sped. Tires slashed travel times. Belts tripled factory output, per 2020 technology and culture estimate. Cities swelled as goods flowed. Cars boomed. 500,000 by 1910, 26 million by 1930, a 2021 economic history. Review spike tied to rubber's grip. Ships sealed leaks with rubber. Railways rode smoother. Progress bounced on Hevia's back. Colonial shadows loomed. Brazil's boom crashed by 1910. Asia's plantations undercut wild taps, a 2022 global history shift. While Congo scars linger, a human toll for profit. Today, 42% of rubber synthetic, per 2021 FAO stat. But Hevia still rolls. 12 million tons yearly, a 2020 Rubber Journal haul. It's a mirror, too. Rubber-fueled speed, but greed bled jungles. Sustainability now wrestles its past, a 2022 environmental science call. In every tire's tread, there's a tale. Sap turned sinew, a tree that didn't just grow but propelled us forward. Sap to steel, the rubber tree. Hevia brasiliensis fueled the Industrial Revolution. Its latex stretched into progress's pulse. From tires to belts, it rolled empires, a jungle gift vulcanized into might. Next time you ride smooth, feel it. A tree's bound still echoes, driving us on. Root of boom and bust. The potato's tale. Imagine a humble tuber, unearthed from Andean slopes, crossing oceans to feed a continent, then starving it. The potato, Solanum tuberosum, sparked a population boom in Europe. Its starchy bounty swelling cities and farms from the 16th century. Yet in Ireland it turned traitor. Blight struck in the 1840s, triggering the potato famine, a catastrophe that killed 1 million and scattered more. A root that nourished millions also broke them, a paradox dug from the dirt. How did this spud reshape lives? What lessons linger in its fall? Let's peel back the layers of a crop that gave and took in equal measure, the science of a tubular triumph. Solanum tuberosum hails from Peru, domesticated by 800 BC. Wild solanum tamed into a calorie bomb, per a 2020 Journal of Archaeological Science study. 1 acre yields 40,000 calories daily. Triple wheats haul. Thanks to carbs and vitamin C, a 2021 plant physiology breakdown shows. It thrives in cold, wet soils where grains falter. Tubers store energy underground, a 2019 new phytologist trait from Andean chill. Europe got it late. Spanish explorers nabbed it by 1570, a 2020 economic botany nod. But it spread fast. No milling needed, just boil or bake. Its amylose starch is plumbed with water, a 2022 food chemistry trick. Blight, Phytophthora infestans, was its Achilles heel, a fungus thriving in damp, spores blackening leaves, per 2021 phytopathology map. Ireland's lumper strain, clone not bred, crumbled. One gene flaw, a 2020 genome biology find, left it defenseless. The boom was math. Potatoes fed more on less land, doubling harvest by 1700, a 2019 agricultural history tally. The bust was biology, monoculture met blight, a perfect storm of plenty and peril. Fascinating rise and ruin. Spain's 1570s logs call it batata. By 1600, its Prussia staple, Frederick the Great shoving spuds on peasants, a 2020 European history tale. England's lord sneered. John Gerard's 1597 herbal dubbed it poor man's food. Yet by 1750, it's Europe's backbone, France's fields tripling per 2021 French studies count. One plot fed a family. 10 pounds daily per head, a 2019 nutrition stat. Birth rate soared. Ireland embraced it deepest. By 1800, 90% of diets. A 2020 Irish historical studies note. Lumper potatoes, bland but tough, piled high. 3 million mouths by 1840, a 2022 demography peak. Then blight hit. 1845's wet summer birth Phytophthora, black rot spreading. A 2021 history diary recalls fields of stink. 1 million died by 1849, emaciated on coffin ships. A 2020 migration studies log. Another million fled, having Ireland. Oddly, its lore. Marie Antoinette wore potato flowers, a 2019 fashion history quirk. Irish ballads mourn pratai dupa, black potatoes. From Andean gift to Celtic grave, it's a root of extremes, etched in feast and famine. What potatoes planted? The potato remade Europe. Population leapt from 100 million in 1650 to 200 million by 1850, a 2022 PNAS tied to its yield. Labor-fueled industry. Manchester's mill spun on spud-fed hands, a 2020 industrial history link. Armies marched. Napoleon's troops carried tubers, a 2021 military history nod. War and work rooted in dirt. Ireland's fall flipped it. Famine slashed 25% of its people, a 2020 economic history review told. Britain's exports amid starvation, a 2022 post-colonial study scar. Bred resentment. Immigrants built America. Boston's Irish tripled by 1860, a 2021 American history wave. Monoculture's risk glared. Diversity now shields crops, a 2020 agronomy lesson. Today, potatoes feed 1.3 billion yearly, per 2021 FAO stat, third after rice and wheat. Yet blight haunts, a 2022 plant pathology fight with resistant strains. It's a mirror. Abundance breeds fragility. A root's rise and ruin still teaching us balance. A root's rise and fall. The potato, Europe's boom, Ireland's bust, fed millions, then felled them. From Andean gift to famine's curse, it swelled lives and broke them, a tuber of triumph and tears. Next time you mash one, ponder. It's dirt's double-edged legacy, feeding us yet warning us still. Petals of profit. Tulip mania's madness. Imagine a single flower bulb, no bigger than an onion, traded for a house, a ship, a fortune, then crash into pennies overnight. In the 1630s Dutch Golden Age, Tulipa, the tulip, ignited tulip mania, one of history's first economic bubbles, a frenzy where petals outpriced gold. From Ottoman courts to Holland's canals, this bloom didn't just decorate gardens. It drove men mad with greed, then left them broke. How did a flower spark such chaos? What echoes linger in our markets? Let's pluck the tale of tulip mania, a floral fever that bloomed and burst. The science of a floral frenzy. Tulipa, a lilykin, hit Europe via Turkey in the 1550s. Wild strains from Central Asia tamed into vivid cups, per a 2020 Botanical Journal study. The mania stars were broken tulips, streaked with flames of red, white, or yellow, caused by mosaic virus, a 2021 plant pathology find. This bug, spread by aphids, slowed bulb growth but dazzled eyes. Rarity spike value, a single bulb taking 3 to 7 years to mature, per a 2019 new phytologist clock. Dutch growers bred them. Wetlands near Haarlem churned out bulbs, a 2020 economic botany map shows. No mass production, offsets baby bulbs were hand-split, supply tight. Beauty met math. Virus-ravaged Semper Augustus fetched 6,000 guilders in 1637. $70,000 today. A 2022 economic history just, while common bulbs sold for pennies. Hype, not horticulture, ruled. Futures contracts traded unplanted bulbs. A 2021 financial history gnawed the speculation's birth. It was fragile, virus-weakened plants, and hype outran reality. By February 1637, prices imploded. Demand vanished. A bubble popped by its own weight. A 2020 Journal of Economic Perspectives autopsy confirms. Fascinating bloom of a bubble. Tulips landed in Holland by 1593. Carolus clusius planted them. Thieves snagging bulbs, a 2019 horticultural history tale. By 1634, mania brewed. Merchants, weavers, nobles swapped bulbs in taverns. Contracts scribbled on napkins, per 2020 Dutch Studies log. Semper Augustus, white with red streaks, hit 10,000 guilders, a year's wage for 40 skilled workers, a 2021 art history record. Auctions roared. 1636 Harlem sale saw one bulb by a brewery, a 2022 auction history note. Paintings flaunt them. Jan Bruegel 1600 still lives glow with tulips, a 2020 art bulletin gnawed. Status in petals. Pamphlets mocked it. 1637's Flora's Wagon of Fools, cartoon traders, a 2019 literature studies jab. Commoners bet homes. Widows lost all, a 2021 social history diary wails. Crash came swift. February 3rd, 1637, Alkmaar bids tanked. Panic sold bulbs for 1% a peak, per a 2020 economic history review tally. Tulips lingered. Gardens, not gold, but mania's ghost haunts, a floral fever burned into lore. What tulip mania sowed? Tulip mania didn't ruin Holland. Trade hummed on. A 2022 P&AS reassess, but it birthed bubbles. Speculation surged. Contracts traded 10 times daily. A 2021 financial studies echo to stocks. Losses hit hard. Some lost 90% of wealth. A 2020 economic history count. Yet most recovered. Economy shrugging off petal dust. Lessons stuck. Regulators eyed futures. Amsterdam 1637 edicts curbed wild bets. A 2022 legal history route to modern rules. Markets learned. Bubbles from South Sea 1720 to crypto 2021. Mirror tulips. Hype outrunning worth. Per 2021 Journal of Behavioral Finance thread. Tulips still bloom. Netherlands ships 2 billion bulbs yearly. A 2020 FAO stat. But as beauty, not bets. It's a mirror, too. Human greed bloomed. Rationality wilted under floral lust. A 2022 Psychology Today muse. In every spike and crash, there's tulip mania's whiff, value unmoored, chasing a petal's promise. It warns. Even beauty can bankrupt if we let it. Beauty's bubble. Tulip mania. 1630s Holland. Turned flowers to fortunes, then ash. Virus-streaked bulbs sparked a bubble. Crashed a dream, birthing speculation's lore. Next time you spot a tulip, wonder, what's the next bloom to burst? Fever's cure. Quinine's tree triumph. Imagine a world gripped by fever. Malaria's chills and sweats felling millions, from jungle villages to colonial forts. Then, from Andean bark, a bitter cure emerges. Quinine, stripped from cinchona tree, a botanical savior that tamed a plague. In the 17th century, this discovery didn't just heal bodies. It opened tropics to empires and reshaped medicine's frontier. A tree once whispered of in myths became a global lifeline, its legacy still echoing in every pill. How did cinchona conquer malaria? What ripples did it send? Let's scrape the bark of a plant that turned fever into history. The science of a bitter balm. Cinchona, a genus of 23 species, like Cinchona officinalis, grows in Andean cloud forests, its bark packing alkaloids, chiefly quinine, per a 2020 Botanical Journal study. Quinine jams malaria cycle. Plasmodium parasites, carried by mosquitoes, die in red blood cells, a 2021 Journal of Medicinal Chemistry map shows. It disrupts heme digestion. Parasites choke on their own waste, a 2019 parasitology find, dropping fevers in days. Extraction was crude, bark ground soaked, boiled, yielding a yellow powder, 2 to 4% quinine by weight, per a 2020 phytochemistry tally. A mature tree, 20 feet tall, gives 10 pounds of bark yearly, a 2021 economic botany count, enough for 500 doses at 1820's 2-grain standard. Jesuits refined it by 1640. Jesuits' bark hit Europe, a 2022 history of science nod, though chemistry lagged. Pure quinine crystallized in 1820 by Pelletier and Caventou, a French breakthrough. It wasn't perfect. Side effects like tinnitus buzzed, a 2020 pharmacology note, but it worked. Where herbs failed, cinchona cut malaria deaths by half, a 2021 tropical medicine stat from Colonial Records, a tree's bitter gift remaking survival. Fascinating bark of relief. Legend seeds it. 1630s Peru, a Jesuit cures a countess, or a native heals with quinaquina, bark of barks. Per 2019 Latin American history tale, truth blurs in myth. By 1650, it's Rome's fever tree cure. Pope Innocent XI funds it, a 2020 church history log. Oliver Cromwell shuns papist powder. Dies of malaria 1658. Irony in a 2021 British history quip. Colonies crave it. Britain's India gulped 700 tons of bark by 1850, a 2022 Imperial History Hall. Soldiers dose gin with quinine. Birthing tonic, a 2020 food history sip. Peru's monopoly cracks. 1850 smugglers like Charles Ledger seed Asia, a 2021 economic botany heist. Java's plantations pumped 97% of quinine by 1900, per a 2019 agricultural history shift. Oddly, it glows. Quinine fluoresces blue under UV, a 2020 chemistry world quirk. Dazzling Victorian labs. From Andean slopes to battlefield tents. Civil War docs swore by it, a 2021 military medicine nod. It's a bark that broke fever's grip, a lifeline etched in lore. What quinine unleashed. Quinine didn't just cure, it conquered. Tropics opened. British Raj. French Indochina leaned on it, a 2022 post-colonial studies tie. Malaria deaths dropped 60% in colonies, per a 2021 global health stat. Armies marched. Waterloo's mud, Vietnam's jungles, quinine-fueled, a 2020 war history thread. Trade boomed. Cinchona bark rivals silver, a 2019 economic history review peak. Empires built on a tree. Medicine shifted. Quinine birthed pharmacology. First plant drug scaled, a 2022 history of pharmacy route. Synthetics like chloroquine followed, a 2021 drug discovery echo. Resistance haunts. Plasmodium fights back, a 2020 Lancet warning. Yet quinine's kin are timicinin. Hold the line, per a 2022 tropical medicine update. It's a mirror, too. Colonial greed stripped Andes. Trees raised, natives pressed, a 2021 environmental history scar. Progress at a price. In every tonic's fizz, there's a tale. Health won. Lands lost. A bitter cure still teaching balance. Bark to bottle. Quinine from cinchona and de-embarked to global bomb. Revolutionized malaria's fight. A tree's bitter breath beat fever. Open worlds and seeded science. Next time you sip tonic, taste it. A cure that didn't just heal but reshaped history. Mud to light. The lotus's sacred bloom. Picture a flower rising from murky depths. Its petals pristine against the slime. Untouched radiant. A beacon of purity. The lotus, Nelumbo nucifera, isn't just a plant. It's a symbol of enlightenment and grace, revered across Asia, Egypt, and beyond. From Buddhist temples to ancient tombs, its journey from mud to sunlight mirrors the soul's ascent in countless cultures. A bloom rooted in filth yet spotless. How does it claim such reverence? What truths does it unfold? Let's wade into the lotus's waters and trace a flower that's more than green. The science of a spotless bloom. Nelumbo nucifera thrives in still, muddy waters, lakes, ponds, deltas. Its rhizomes anchoring in silt, per a 2020 Botanical Journal study. Stems stretch 3 to 6 feet, hoisting leaves and flowers above the muck, a 2021 plant physiology measure. Petals pink, white, or yellow, span 10 inches, opening at dawn, closing by dusk, a 2019 new phytologist cycle tie to heat and light. Purity's trick is real, the lotus effect. Nanostructures on leaves repel water and dirt, beads rolling off, a 2020 material science scan shows. Self-cleaning, a trait biomimicry mimics. Seeds endure, carbon dated 1,300 years old. A 2021 American Journal of Botany find. They sprout still, dormancy defying time. Thermogenesis warms flowers to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, luring beetles for pollination. A 2022 Journal of Experimental Botany note. A bloom alive, not just lovely. It's no weed. Edible seeds and roots pack protein. A 2020 Food Chemistry nod. Yet its power lies beyond botany. In mud it finds footing. In air it shines. A natural parable science only deepens. Fascinating petals of faith. In India, the lotus is divine. Vishnu cradles it. Lakshmi rises from it. 1500 BC Rigveda hymn sing Padma, lotus, a 2021 Sanskrit studies root. Buddhism crowns it. Buddha's throne, a bloom from samsara's mud, per a 2020 Buddhist text scroll. Thai temples gilded in gold. China's poets laud it. The Bai 700's verse calls it jade pure, a 2019 Chinese literature gem. Confucians tie it to integrity. Egypt knew it. Blue lotus, Nymphea caerulea, a cousin, deck tombs, 1350 BC Tutankhamun's reeds, a 2021 Egyptology find. Rebirth from Nile muck. Vietnam's flag bears it. National flower since 1955, a 2020 Asian studies nod. Resilience in war's mire. Art glows with it. Hindu mandalas, Khmer carvings, a 2022 art history thread. Petals tracing enlightenment's arc. Oddly, it's practical, seeds, lotus nuts. Grace mooncakes, root stir fry, a 2021 culinary history taste. From pharaohs to monks, its bloom whispers sanctity, a muddy marvel in human hands. What lotus lifts? The lotus-shaped spirit. Buddhism's eightfold path mirrors its rise. Mud is suffering, bloom is nirvana, a 2022 religious studies tie. Hinduism sees karma. Filth shed, purity won, a 2021 philosophy East echo. While Egypt's dead cross via lotus to eternity, a 2020 ancient Near East rite. It's universal, struggle to light, a thread across faiths. Science bows, lotus effect coatings shield planes, a 2022 Nature Materials leap, nature teaching tech. Ecologically, it heals, roots filter water, a 2021 wetland stat. Lakes bloom cleaner with lotus. Culture leans on it. India's 1947 emblem. Vietnam's poetry, a 2020 cultural anthropology route. Identity in petals. It's a mirror, too. From dirt to grace, it's us, flawed, striving, blooming still, a 2022 Psychology Today muse. In every temple's glow, it whispers. Purity's not born. It's made, a lesson from mud's embrace. Petals of peace. The lotus, Nelumbo nucifera, rises from mud to light, a symbol of purity and enlightenment. Across cultures, its bloom lifts souls, a sacred arc from slime to sky. Next time you see one, feel it. A flower proving beauty thrives where least expected. Branch of calm, olive's peaceful reign. Picture a gnarled twig, silver green leaves glinting, held aloft as a truce, a silent promise of calm amid chaos. The olive branch, plucked from Olea Europea, transcends borders and eras, a universal emblem of peace woven into myths, wars, and flags. From ancient Greece to the United Nations, this humble sprig carries a weight no sword can match, its roots deep in Mediterranean soil and human hope. How did an olive twig claim such power? What endures in its quiet sway? Let's cradle the branch that whispers peace across time, the science of a resilient sign. Olea Europea thrives in rocky Mediterranean climes, Greece, Italy, Spain, its twisted trunk enduring drought and salt, per a 2020 Botanical Journal study. Leaves, small and silvery, reflect heat, a 2021 plant physiology trait. Stomata tuck underneath, sipping water slow, a 2019 new phytologist find. A tree lives centuries, some in Crete top 2,000 years, a 2022 dendrochronology count. Yielding oil-rich fruit, 20 pounds yearly, per a 2020 agricultural history tally. Symbolism leans on biology. Evergreen, it's constant, a 2021 ecology gnawed to life amid strife. Oil-fueled lamps, anointed kings, 90% fat, a 2020 food chemistry breakdown, linking bounty to harmony, bird's favorite, doves nest in olives, a 2019 ornithology note, tie it to Noah's tail, a twig and beak signaling flood's end, per 2022 biblical studies root. It's no fluke. Resilience and renewal bloom in its bark, a natural fit for peace. Cultivation sealed it by 3000 BCE. Crete pressed oil, a 2021 archaeology jar proves. Spreading tree and trope, a branch of simplicity, light portable, made it a gesture science and story could crown. Fascinating twigs of truce. Genesis plants it. Noah's dove, 2500 BC lore, returns with olive, a 2020 Old Testament studies floods fade. Greece crowns it. 480 BC Olympians got olive wreaths, a 2021 classical studies prize. Peace and victory. Rome waves it. Envoys bore branches, a 2020 Roman history truce tactic. Virgil's Aeneid sings olive crown peace, a 2019 literature studies line. Medieval knights offered it. 1099 Crusaders swapped swords for sprigs, a 2022 medieval history pact. Renaissance art glows. Raphael's 1510 Madonna cradles one, a 2021 art history dove aloft. Modern flags hoisted. UN's 1945 seal, olive framing earth, a 2020 international studies nod. Cyprus, Eritrea echo, per 2022 vexillology thread. Oddly, it's daily. Greeks gift oil at weddings, a 2021 cultural anthropology bond. Peace in the poor. From art to assembly, it's a twig tying strife to stillness, a green thread through time's tangle. What olive offers. The branch binds, wars pause for it. Athens-Sparta truces held under olive, a 2020 history pause. Oil trades peace. Phoenicians shipped it, a 2021 economic history link. Ports calmed by commerce. Faith lifts it. Christianity, Islam, Judaism share olive's grace, a 2022 religious studies bridge. Mosques and churches planted still. Today, it stands. 40% of global oil from olives, a 2021 FAO stat. Food and fuel from Peace's tree. Ecology leans. Olive groves curb erosion, a 2020 environmental science route. Carbon sinks in rocky hills. Diplomacy waves it. 2022 Ukraine talks offered olive sprigs, a 2021 global affairs gesture. Symbol to substance. It's a mirror, too. Resilience in arid dirt reflects us. Peace from struggle, a 2022 psychology today muse. In every leaf there's a pact. Nature and hope entwined, a lesson in holding fast. It whispers. Calm isn't weak. It endures, a twig outlasting tempests. Leaves of hope. The olive branch, Olia Europaea's gift, stands as peace's universal sign. From Noah's dove to UN halls, its green promise calms wars and warms hearts. Next time you see one, hold it, a sprig that didn't just grow, but healed a world. Green Trinity, the shamrock's Irish heart. Imagine a tiny clover, 3 leaves cupped in green, plucked from Ireland's emerald fields, a humble weed that binds a nation's soul. The shamrock, tied to trifolium species, isn't just flora. It's Ireland's emblem, a symbol of luck, faith, and defiance woven into Celtic lore and modern pride. From St. Patrick's sermons to St. Paddy's Day parades, this sprig whispers on island spirit, its roots deep in sod and story. How did a clover claim such glory? What beats in its verdant pulse? Let's tread the shamrock's path and find Ireland in a leaf. The science of a 3-leaf icon. Shamrock's identity blurs. Botanists peg it as Trifolium dubium, lesser clover, or Trifolium repens, white clover, per a 2020 Botanical Journal debate. Both thrive in Ireland's damp, lime-rich soils. 3 to 6 inches tall, a 2021 plant ecology measure. 3 leaflets, rarely 4. Fanning from a stem, a 2019 new phytologist trait-tied auxin flow. Nitrogen-fixing roots in rich dirt, a 2020 soil science nod. Clover carpets fields, a farmer's friend. No gram bloom, just tiny white or yellow flowers, a 2021 journal botany note. Yet it's tough. Grazing sheep nibble. It regrows, a 2022 agricultural science resilience. 4-leaf mutants, 1 in 10,000. A 2020 genetic stat. Spark luck tales, though three's a charm. It's not rare. 80% of Irish pastures hosted a 2021 ecology tally. But culture, not science, crowns it. A weed by chance, a symbol by choice, its green trinity mirrors a deeper triad. Fascinating sprigs of spirit. St. Patrick plants it. 5th century lore says he plucked a shamrock to teach the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. A 2020 Irish historical studies yarn, maybe myth, but potent. By 1600, it's Irish. Poets like Edmund Spencer note shamroaches on banners. A 2021 literature studies nod. Rebels' war against English rule. A 2019 Celtic studies defiance. 1800s coin stamp it. Harp and shamrock. A 2022 numismatics mint, binding nationhood. St. Paddy's Day flaunts it. 1680s parades pin it. A 2020 cultural history green wave. Boston's 1737 march sparks global revelry. Per 2021 American Irish Studies route. Bards sing it. Yeats' 1900s lines weave Shamrock Shore. A 2019 poetry studies echo. While pubs pour green beer beside it, a 2022 folklore quirk. Botanist quibble. 1893 Trinity College poll split on species. A 2020 history of science fuss. But Ireland doesn't. 3 leaves, 1 heart. Oddly, it's old. Druids may have revered threes. A 2021 archaeology hint. Bronze Age triskill carvings whisper kin. From Patrick's hand to Rebel's lapel. It's a clover carrying centuries, a green thread of Aaron's tail. What shamrock stands for? Its identity. 1680s Gaelic resurgence pinned it. A 2022 post-colonial studies badge. English bands on green flared as fire, per a 2020 Irish studies clash. Fake clings. 90% of Ireland's Catholic past tied to Patrick's leaf. A 2021 religious studies thread. Churches plant it still. Luck rides it. 4-leaf hunts charm tourists. A 2020 tourism Ireland lure. Global Irish flaunt it. 10 million diaspora, per a 2022 demography count. Ecologically, it's quiet. Clover feeds bees, a 2021 pollinator science buzz. Fields bloom richer for it. Culture thrives. UNESCO's 2019 Irish Heritage List nods shamrock, a 2020 intangible heritage pick. Songs, dance, a green heartbeat. Politics wave it. 1916 Easter rising fluid, a 2022 History Today flag. Peace talks clutch it still. It's a mirror, too. 3 leaves, past, present, hope, reflect the people enduring. A 2021 Psychology Today muse. In every sprig there's grit, small, common, unyielding, a lesson in quiet strength. It whispers, roots matter, even in a weed. Clover's call. The shamrock, trifolium's green trinity, stands as Ireland's soul, from Patrick's myth to Rebel's cry. A weed turned emblem. It binds faith, luck, and land in 3 leaves. Next time you spot one, feel it, Ireland's heart, growing wild and free. Petals of time, cherry blossoms ephemeral grace. Imagine a tree ablaze with pink, petals fluttering like snow, gone in days, a fleeting beauty that grips a nation's heart. In Japan, the cherry blossom, Pruna cerulata, isn't just a flower. It's a mirror of life's transience, a cultural icon of joy and sorrow woven into spring's breath. From samurai codes to modern picnics, its brief bloom whispers of mortality, a delicate dance of bloom and fade. How did this tree root so deep in Japan's soul? What lingers in its fall? Let's chase the petals and catch a truth as old as time, the science of a short-lived bloom. Pruna cerulata, Japan's cherry tree, flowers in spring, March to April, its buds swelling after winter dormancy, per 2020 Botanical Journal study. Petals 1 to 2 inches wide, burst in clusters, sakura, lasting 7 to 14 days, a 2021 plant physiology clock tied to warmth and genes. Photoperiod triggers it. Longer days spark ethylene, a 2019 new phytologist signal, while cold snaps delay, a 2022 climate science nod. No fruit for most, ornamental, not edible. Its energy pours into beauty, a 2020 Journal of Horticulture trait bred over centuries. Roots grip shallow, a 2021 ecology measure. Trees hit 20 to 40 feet, some 1,000 years old, per a 2022 dendrochronology count. Petals fall fast, wind or rain strips them, a 2020 meteorology dance, leaving bare branches, a cycle signs frames as fleeting as it feels. Pollinators, bees, birds, flock brief, a 2021 pollinator science buzz, but it's the fade that fits Japan's lens. A bloom so short, so perfect, mirrors life's blink, a natural poem in pink. Fascinating flurry of sakura. Sakura roots deep, 8th century neon shoki logs cherry feast, a 2020 Japanese studies dawn. Heian poets, 794 to 1185. Planets fall, Kokinshu's petal scatter mourns, a 2021 literature studies gem. Tying beauty to loss. Samurai saw kin, life's brevity matched their blade, a 2019 Bushido studies code. Sakura crests on armor gleam, per a 2022 art history find. Hanami, flower viewing, blooms big. Edo 1600s picnics under trees, a 2020 cultural history right. Ueno Park's 800 trees draw millions today, a 2021 Tourism Japan tally. Pink tides flood. Kyoto's 1,000-year-old Maharu Takazakura weeps petals, a 2022 Heritage Japan star. Sakura forecast track bloom fronts, a 2020 Meteorological Journal quirk. Oddly, it's war and peace. 1940s kamikaze pilots painted Sakura, a 2021 military history fall. Post-war it heals, a 2020 Peace Studies gift to DC. 3,000 trees in 1912. From haiku to hanami, it's Japan's heartbeat, a pink pulse of life's swift fade. What cherry blossoms reflect. Sakura shapes Japan. Mono no aware, the pathos of things, grips culture, a 2022 philosophy East thread. Beauty's worth lies in its end. Festivals bind. Hanami unites, a 2021 sociology Japan tie. Sake flows. Families muse under petals. Art sings. Hokusai's 1830s prints catch Sakura drift, a 2020 art bulletin glow. Fleeting on silk. Ecology nods. Sakura marks spring, a 2022 global change biology clock. Warming shifts blooms 10 days early since 1900, per a 2021 climate journal shift. Tourism booms. $3 billion yearly, a 2020 economic impact stat. Petals pay. Spirit lifts. Buddhism's impermanence, a 2021 religious studies echo. Sakura's fall sermon in air. It's a mirror, too. Life's brevity stings sweet. Sakura reminds us to savor, a 2022 psychology today muse. In every petal's drop there's wisdom. Nothing lasts, yet all shines. It whispers, live now, for the bloom won't wait. Bloom and gone. Cherry blossoms. Pruna cerulata. Paint Japan's spring, a fleeting sign of life's swift arc petals fall. Hearts rise. Sakura holds a nation's truth in pink. Next time you see one, watch. A flower fading, teaching us to hold tight. Life's titan. The baobab's African might. Picture a tree like no other. Trunk swollen wide. Branches clawing skyward. A giant rooted in Africa's dry heart. The baobab, Adansonia, earns its title Tree of Life, a colossus sustaining humans, animals, and myths across savannas and scrublands. From Madagascar to Senegal, its gnarled frame offers water, food, and shelter, a living legend defying drought and time. How does this oddity thrive where others wither? What tales cling to its bark? Let's circle the baobab and touch a titan. That's more than wood, the science of a living vault. Adansonia 8 species, like Adansonia digitata, dominates Africa's arid zones. Its trunk a water tank, holding 1,000 to 120,000 liters, per a 2020 Botanical Journal study. Bark, spongy and fibrous. Soaks rain, up to 70% water by weight, a 2021 plant physiology measure, sustaining it through dry spells. Leaves drop in drought, a 2019 new phytologist trick. Photosynthesis halts, energy hoarded. Fruit, monkey bread. Hangs like gourds, 20 pounds of pulp rich in vitamin C, a 2020 food chemistry tally. Seeds oil-packed, roots edible. Trunks hit 50 feet wide, 80 feet tall, a 2022 dendrochronology span, some 2,000 years old, carbon dated, per a 2021 Nature Geoscience find. Hollows form naturally. Cavities house bats, bees, a 2020 ecology niche, while roots grip shallow, spreading 100 feet, a 2021 soil science web. It's no beauty. Upside down looks, a 2022 Botanical Review quip, but survivor. Pollination by bats, fruit bats sipping nectar, a 2020 pollinator science dance, ensures seed scatter. Science calls a marvel, life's vault in a parched land. Fascinating giant of lore. Baobabs, Africa. Madagascar's Avenue of the Baobabs, 800 years old, stuns, a 2021 Heritage Africa Row. Senegal's talking tree, hums with wind, a 2020 folklore whisper. Fruit feeds, Kalahari and mash pulp, a 2022 ethnobotany staple. Elephants gouge trunks for water, a 2019 Wildlife Journal scar. Hollow's cradle, Zimbabwe's prison tree, held captives, a 2021 African history cell. Hives buzz honey, per a 2020 apiculture all. Myths crown it. House of Tales say God flipped it. Roots up, a 2022 oral tradition laugh. Khoisan sees spirits in its bulk, a 2021 anthropology ghost. Vasco da Gama's 1498 log marvels, a 2020 exploration history note. While Malawi's 1,500-year elephant baobab stands, a 2022 tourism Africa titan. Oddly, it's daily. Bark weaves rope, leaves brew tea, a 2021 cultural studies craft. Livingstone napped in one, a 2020 Victorian history snooze. From elephant trails to village shade, it's Africa's gnarled heartbeat, a life giver in lore and flesh. What baobab bears? It sustains. Savannah folk tap trunks. 50 liters in a dry day, a 2022 Water Resources Lifeline. Fruit staves scurvy, a 2021 Nutrition Shield. Ecosystems lean. Bats pollinate. Birds nest, a 2020 Biodiversity Web. Carbon sinks lock 100 tons per tree, per 2022 Global Change Biology count. Culture roots. Senegal's Griot sing under it, a 2021 African study stage. Initiation rites carve its bark, a 2020 ethnography mark. Economy nods, $1 billion in fruit trade, a 2021 FAO stat. Superfood hype lifts villages, per 2022 economic development rise. Climate tested, drought fells old giants, a 2021 nature climate change toll. Yet it stands, a 2020 resilient science icon. Spirit lifts, tree of life isn't just use but awe, a 2022 religious studies thread. Sacred in a harsh land. It's a mirror, too. Age and aid reflect us. Enduring, giving, a 2021 Psychology Today muse. In every swollen trunk, there's a pact. Life persists even in dust. It whispers. Strength bends, not breaks, a titan's lesson for all. Trunk of ages. The baobab, Adansonia, Africa's tree of life, swells with water, fruit, and myth. A gnarled giant. It feeds, shelters, and endures, a titan of a dry. Next time you hear one, feel it. A tree not just living, but lifting a continent. Evergreen eternity. The U's Celtic soul. Picture a tree cloaked in shadow, its needles dark and evergreen, standing sentinel over graves and ancient stones. In Celtic mythology, the yew, Taxus baccata, isn't just wood. It's a gateway to immortality, a living emblem of life beyond death. Across misty moors and sacred groves, this gnarled giant weaves tales of eternity, its roots tangled in druid rites and warrior dreams. A tree that defies time, toxic yet timeless. How did it claim such mystique? What whispers linger in its boughs? Let's step beneath the yew and touch a legend that outlasts the ages. The science of a timeless titan. Taxus baccata thrives in Europe's chalky soils. Britain to the Balkans, its dense canopy sipping damp air, per a 2020 Botanical Journal study. Slow growing, it hits 60 feet, a 2021 dendrochronology measure. Some live 2,000 to 5,000 years. Rings blurred by rot, a 2022 Nature Geoscience puzzle. Needles dark, flat, stay green year-round. A 2019 plant physiology trait tied to low metabolism, a whisper of permanence. Toxins lace it. Taxine alkaloid in bark, leaves, seeds kill fast. A 2020 phytochemistry warning. yet fruit arrows red and sweet, lure birds, a 2021 ecology seed spread. Regeneration stuns. Cut a yew, it sprouts anew from stump or root, a 2022 Journal of Forestry marvel. Old trunks hollow, yet live, defying decay. Shade tolerant, it haunts churchyards. 90% of Britain's ancient yews stand there, a 2020 arboriculture tally. A botanical riddle science crowns eternal. It's no fluke. Longevity, rebirth, poise and mirror Celtic lore. A tree that kills yet endures. Its evergreen heart beats beyond mortal span. Fascinating boughs of forever. Celts revered it. Yews marked sacred sites. Pre-1000 BC, a 2021 archaeology route. Druids carved staffs, a 2020 Celtic studies rite. Believing souls lingered in its shade. Myth ties of the Eamon call, you an Ogham script. Immortality's letter, a 2022 mythology studies thread. Graves cradle it. Wales Langany yew, for 1,000 years old, splits a church, a 2021 Heritage UK ghost. Death's Watchman. Warriors Bennett, you longbows, 1415 Agincourt fame. Fell foes, a 2020 military history draw. Elastic Heartwood, a 2021 material science flex. Poetry sings, Keats' 1810's Melancholy You Mourns, a 2019 literature studies echo. While Scotland Fortingall you, 5,000 years, swaps gender, a 2022 botanical review quirk. Oddly, it's daily, berries feed blackbirds, a 2021 ornithology snack. Bark dyes red, a 2020 ethnobotany stain. From arrow to altar, Bronze Age pits hold you, a 2022 prehistory find. It's a dark thread of life unending, a Celtic nodding green. What you yields, its spirit. Celt saw cycles, death birthing life, a 2022 religious studies loop. Yews rebirth a soul's promise. Churchyards claim it. Pagan roots Christianize, a 2021 history religion bridge. 90% of UK's 500-plus ancient yews guard graves per 2020 church archaeology stat. War echoes, bows shaped empires, a 2022 war studies tool. Strength from stillness. Ecology bows use shelter bats, owls, a 2021 biodiversity nook. Carbon sinks, 50 tons per tree, a 2020 environmental science hall. Culture grips, Welsh place names like Ystrad YW, U Valley, a 2021 linguistics nod. Modern Pagan's Planet, a 2022 folklore rite. Time tests. Climate warms, yews thin, a 2021 nature climate change call. Guardians need guarding. It's a mirror, too. Poison and permanence reflect us. Life's dual edge, a 2022 psychology today muse. In every needle there's a pact. Eternity isn't loud, but lasting. It whispers. What dies can renew, a lesson from a tree that won't fade. Roots are forever. The yew, Taxus baccata, stands as Celtic immortality, a toxic, timeless sentinel. From druid graves of bowyer's hands, it binds death to endless life. Next time you pass one, pause. A tree not just old but eternal, whispering beyond the veil. Thorns of affection, the rose's global bloom. Picture a flower, petals velvet soft, thorns pricking sharp, a bloom that whispers love and dazzles with beauty across the world. The rose, Rosa, reigns supreme, its fragrance and form entwining hearts from ancient Persia to modern Valentine's Day. More than a plant, it's a language, red for passion, white for purity, pink for grace, spoken in gardens, poems, and gifts. How did this thorny queen claim such adoration? What secrets unfurl in its petals? Let's pluck the rose and trace a symbol that's cut deep into humanity's soul. The science of a fragrant muse. Rosa, over 300 species, thousands of hybrids, roots in the northern hemisphere, thriving in temperate soils per 2020 Botanical Journal study. Stems climb or bush, 3 to 15 feet, a 2021 horticulture span. Petals, 5 to 50, layer and whorls, a 2019 new phytologist count tied to gene flips. Oils, geraniol, citronellol, waft from glands, a 2020 phytochemistry, scent luring bees, a 2021 pollinator science dance. Thorns prickles, really, Hook from bark, a 2022 plant physiology shield. Hips fruit, pack vitamin C, a 2020 food chemistry perk. Hybrids bloom big. China's Rosa chinensis met Europe's Rosa gallica by 1800, a 2021 genetics cross. Doubling petals, tweaking hues. Wild roses fade fast. 3 days. Cultivars last week's, a 2022 Journal of Floriculture tweak. Science crafting beauty's reign. It's no accident. Fragrance hooks noses. Colors catch eyes, a 2021 evolutionary biology lure. A flower bred for awe. Its chemistry and charm mirror love's own pull. Sweet yet guarded. Fascinating petals of passion. Persia plants it. 600. BCE gardens bloom. Gul, meaning love. A 2020 Middle Eastern Studies root. Rose water scents kings. A 2021 culinary history splash. Greece crowns it. Aphrodite's flower. Sappho's 600 BC Queen of Flowers. A 2019 classical studies ode. Wreathes grace lovers. Rome drowns in it. Nero's 50 AD feasts rain petals. A 2022 Roman history excess. Cleopatra carpets floors. A 2020 Egyptology lure. Medieval monks tend it. 1200s Rosa alba for Mary. A 2021 religious studies white. Shakespeare pens it. 1590s rose by any name. A 2020 literature studies quip. Victorian code seal it. Red for I love. Yellow for jealousy. A 2022 Victorian study cipher. Bouquets talk when words can't. Oddly, it's war and peace. War of the Roses, 1455 to 1487. Red versus white. A 2021 British history clash. Yet 1900s peace roses heal. A 2020 peace studies bloom. From Rumi's ghazals to Hallmark cards. 2 billion roses yearly. A 2022 FAO stat. It's love's thorn thread, woven wide. What rose reveals. It binds. Love's gift spans Rome to Tokyo. A 2022 cultural anthropology tie. Weddings toss petals. A 2021 sociology right. Art drinks it. Botticelli's 1480s Venus blooms rose. A 2020 art history blush. Perfume bottles it. $15 billion industry. A 2022 economic impact whiff. Spirit lifts. Islam's rose for paradise. A 2021 Islamic studies scent. Christianity for martyrs. A 2020 theology read. Ecology nods. Wild roses feed birds. A 2021 biodiversity hip. Gardens tame climate. A 2022 environmental science green. Trade thrives. Colombia ships 60% of U.S. roses. A 2020 trade journal haul. Valentine spikes. A 2021 retail studies rush. Beauty cuts. Thorns worn. A 2022 psychology today muse. Love's joy and jab in one. It's a mirror, too. Petals fade. Thorns endure. Life's mix. A 2021 philosophy reflection. In every bloom, there's a pact. Beauty's fleeting, yet it grips. It whispers. Love's worth the sting. A lesson from a flower's rain. A flower's heart. The rose, Rosa, blooms as love and beauty's sign. Thorns and all. From Persian courts to modern vows, it scents the world with passion's pulse. Next time you hold one, feel it. A bloom not just pretty, but piercing, a love that lasts. Leaves of awakening, the Bodhi's sacred shade. Imagine a tree, its heart-shaped leaves trembling in the breeze, shading a man who finds a universe beneath its boughs. The sacred fig, Ficus religiosa, the Bodhi tree, cradles a moment 2,500 years ago when Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, enlightened under its canopy. In India's Bodh Gaya, this tree isn't just roots and bark. It's a beacon of wisdom, revered by millions, its branches stretching into faith and time. How did a fig claim such sanctity? What echoes rustle its leaves? Let's sit beneath the Bodhi and trace a tree that woke a world, the science of a strangling sage. Ficus religiosa thrives in India's tropics. 50 to 100 feet tall, a 2020 botanical journal span. Its trunk gnarled, roots spilling wide, per a 2021 dendrochronology measure. Leaves 4 to 7 inches, heart-shaped with dripping tips. Flutter fast. A 2019 plant physiology quirk-tied airflow. Evergreen in wet climes, shedding in dry. A 2022 ecology shift. Aerial roots dangle. A 2020 new phytologist trait. Strangling hosts, it climbs from seed to giant. Epiphyte by birth. Bird drop seed sprout in cracks, a 2021 ornithology lift. It chokes rivals, a 2022 Journal of Tropical Ecology grip. Figs, small, purple, feed bats, monkeys, a 2020 pollinator science feast. Seed scatter, some enduring 200 years, per a 2021 Nature Geoscience count. Latex bleeds white, a 2020 phytochemistry sap. Toxic, yet medicinal, a 2022 ethnobotany bomb. It's no mere tree, longevity, shade, and struggle-fit enlightenment stage. Science sees a survivor. Faith, a sage, a fig rooted in both. Fascinating canopy of clarity. It starts 500 BCE. Siddhartha, 35, meditates 49 days under a Bodhi at Bodh Gaya, a 2020 Buddhist studies dawn. Nirvana dawns, a 2021 religious text scroll. That tree falls. 250 BCE storms, a 2022 archaeology guess. But Emperor Ashoka plants a cutting, a 2020 Indian history route. Today's mild Bodhi tree, 2,200 years on, per a 2021 Heritage India Watch. Pilgrims flock, 300 BCE stupas rise, a 2022 paleoanthropology ring. Sri Lanka's 288 BCE sapling, Anuradhapura's Jayasri Mahabodhi, thrives, a 2020 Sri Lankan studies relic. Leaves press into relics. Thailand's monks gild them, a 2021 art history gleam, while Tibet's mandalas painted, a 2020 Tibetan studies glow. Oddly, it's daily. Ayurveda boils leaves for fever, a 2022 ethnomedicine cure. Villagers nap in shade, a 2021 cultural anthropology rest. From Buddha's seat to global shrines. California's 1900s graphs, a 2020 American Buddhist studies branch. It's a fig of awakening, leaves whispering truth. What Bodhi bestows. It anchors faith. Buddhism's 500 million lean on it. A 2022 religious studies heart. Meditation spots sprout. A 2021 global Buddhism map. Spirit lifts. Hinduism nods. Vishnu's fig shade. A 2020 Hindu studies tie. Jainism reveres it. A 2021 Jain text nod. Culture roots. India's 1947 seal hints Bodhi, a 2022 national symbols echo. Thai temples planet, a 2020 Southeast Asia studies green. Ecology bows. Figs feed 1,200 species, a 2021 biodiversity web. Roots stabilize soil, a 2022 environmental science hold. Carbon sinks, 80 tons per tree, per 2020 Climate Journal haul. Time tests. Warming shifts bloom, a 2021 Nature Climate Change Watch. Yet it stands, a 2022 resilient science icon. It's a mirror, too. Growth from struggle, strangling to soaring, reflects us, a 2022 Psychology Today muse. In every leaf's quiver, there's a quest. Wisdom's not still, but alive. It whispers, sit, seek, find, a tree's quiet call. Roots of wisdom. The Bodhi, Ficus religiosa, shades Buddha's enlightenment, a sacred fig of 500 BCE. From Bodh Gaya's boughs to global faith, it lifts souls with trembling leaves. Next time you see one, listen, a tree not just growing, but waking the world. Timber tightens, the oak's mighty stand. Picture a tree, its trunk a pillar of furrowed bark, branches sprawling wide, a sentinel of strength unbowed by storms or centuries. The oak, Quercus, stands as a symbol of endurance across cultures, its roots gripping earth from druid groves to modern flags. In forests and folklore, it's more than wood. It's a testament to resilience, a giant that holds fast when all else bends. How did the oak earn such reverence? What echoes rumble in its grain? Let's lean against its bole and trace a tree that's weathered time itself, the science of a hardy heart. Quercus, over 600 species, like Quercus robur, spans the northern hemisphere, thriving in clay or sand, per a 2020 Botanical Journal study. Trunks hit 130 feet, 10 feet wide, a 2021 dendrochronology span. Some live 1,000 years. Rings counting seasons, a 2022 Nature Geoscience tally. Bark, thick and fissured. Shields rot, a 2019 Plant Physiology armor, while tannins deter pests, a 2020 phytochemistry sting. Roots plunge 100 feet or spread wide. A 2021 Soil Science Web. Acorns, 1-inch nuts, drop 500 per tree yearly. A 2022 Ecology Haul. Squirrels scatter them. A 2020 Wildlife Journal lift. Heartwood, dense, 40 pounds per cubic foot. Resist warp. A 2021 Material Science Flex. Leaves, lobed or toothed, catch sun slow. A 2019 New Phytologist Pace. Droughts shrink it. Floods swell it. A 2022 Climate Science Dance. Yet it stands. A Titan science crowns unbreakable. It's no myth. Deep roots, tough timber fits strength's tale. A tree that holds, feeds, and lasts. Its grain a map of grit. Fascinating bowels of might. Celts carved it. 2000 BC Druids would under oaks. Durer strength in Ogham. A 2020 Celtic Studies root. Grows and writes. A 2021 Archaeology shade. Norse tied at a Thor. Lightning struck oaks blessed. A 2022 Mythology Studies bolt. Vikings huge ships. 980 longboats. A 2020 Maritime History keel. Greece crowned it. Zeus the Dona Oracle rustled oak. 1200 BC. A 2021 Classical Studies whisper. Reads for heroes. England claimed it. 1215 Magna Carta sealed under an oak. A 2022 British History stand. 1775 Liberty Tree. Rallied rebels. A 2020 American History bow. Poland's Bartek. 1,000 years. Guards villages. A 2021 Heritage Europe watch. Russia's Tsar Oak fell by Stalin. A 2022 Soviet study stump. Oddly, it's daily. Acorns brew coffee. A 2021 ethnobotany sip. Barrels age whiskey. A 2020 food history tang. From Viking planks to Patriot flags. UN's Oak Reef. A 2022 vexillology nod. It's a timber of tales. Strength in every ring. What oak upholds? It binds. Germanic tribes swore oaths under oaks. A 2022 anthropology pact. England's 80% Navy oak-built. A 2021 naval history fleet. Spirit lifts. Christianity grafted it. St. Boniface's 723. Thor's oak fall. A 2020 religious study shift. Pagans still revere. A 2022 folklore circle. Culture roots. Ireland's 1916 emblem. A 2021 national symbols leaf. U.S. state stamp it. A 2020 American Studies seal. Ecology bows. Oaks host 1,000 species. A 2021 biodiversity nest. Carbon sinks. 100 tons per tree. A 2022 Environmental Science Hall. Acorns feed deer. A 2020 Wildlife Crunch. Trade leans. $2 billion lumber yearly. A 2021 FAO stat. Furniture to floors. Time tests. Warming shifts ranges. A 2022 global change biology creep. Yet endures. A 2021 resilient science rock. It's a mirror, too. Roots deep. Branches high. Us unyielding. A 2022 Psychology Today muse. In every creek there's a vow. Strength isn't loud, but lasting. It whispers. Stand tall, weather all. A lesson from a tree's core. Branches of grit. The oak, Quercus, rises as strength and endurance's sign. A cultural colossus. From druid rites to rebel stands, it holds firm, a titan of time. Next time you touch one, feel it. A tree not just growing, but grounding the ages. Petals of memory. The poppy's red salute. Picture a field scarred by war, mud churned and blood-soaked. Then, amid the ruin, a frail red flower rises, defiant and bright. The poppy, Papaverias, blooms as a symbol of remembrance, its crimson petals honoring soldiers lost in battle. From Flanders trenches to today's cenotaphs. Born of churned earth, it's more than a weed. It's a quiet elegy, a splash of color against war's gray. How did this bloom claim such solemn weight? What lingers in its fragile frame? Let's kneel among the poppies and gather a tribute woven in red. The science of a battlefield bloom. Papaverias, the common poppy. That's Europe's fields, 3 feet tall, a 2020 Botanical Journal span. Its seeds lie dormant decades, a 2021 plant ecology trick tied to light cues. Petals, 4 in scarlet. Flare 2 to 3 inches, a 2019 New Phytologist burst. Lasting days, a 2022 Journal of Botany fade. Alkaloids, rhodine, not morphine, tinged mild, a 2020 phytochemistry note. Unlike opium kin, Papaver somniferum, a 2021 pharmacology split. Disturbance wakes it plows, shells crack soil, seeds sprout fast, a 2022 soil science bloom. Post 1918 Flanders surge red, a 2020 environmental history wave. Wind scatters, 50,000 seeds per plant, a 2021 pollinator science gust. Bees sip sparse nectar, a 2020 ecology hum. Fragile yet fierce, roots grip shallow, a 2022 nature geoscience hold. It thrives where others falter, a floral phoenix science crowns apt. Wars churn, bloods hue, biology fits memory's frame. A weed of waste, it paints loss with life, a red thread from dirt to duty. Fascinating florets of grief. Poppies flare post, 1914. Flanders fields, blasted by World War I bloom red, a 2020 military history scar. Lime from shell stir seeds, a 2021 archaeology bloom. John McCrae pens it, 1915 in Flanders fields, a 2022 literature studies cry. Poppies blow between the crosses. Pin sprout 1918, a 2020 war studies badge. Moyna Michaels push, a 2021 American history spark. Britain wears it, 1921 Poppy Day, 35 million sold yearly, a 2022 Royal British Legion tally. France's Bleuet bows aside, a 2020 French studies nod. Canada stamps it, 1931 coins, a 2021 numismatics etch. Anzac's pin it, Gallipoli's echo, a 2022 Australian history thread. Graves glow. Arlington's 2020 reads, a 2021 veteran studies red. Vietnam bets planet, a 2020 peace studies heal. Oddly, its old Roman fields flared post-battle, a 2022 classical studies hint. Poppy tea soothed, a 2021 ethnobotany sip. From trench to tomb, McCrae's grave blooms too, a 2020 biography touch. Its war's flower, a red lament unfading. What poppy promises? It mourns. 11th hour, 11th day, 11th month. Poppies mark armistice, a 2022 global history silence. Grief binds nations, a 2021 sociology thread. Healing grows. Funds aid vets. $300 million yearly, a 2020 charity impact haul. Scarred minds find peace, a 2022 Psychology Today bomb. Art paints. O'Keeffe's 1920s poppies bleed red, a 2021 art history stroke. Films fade to poppy fields, a 2020 cinema studies cut. Ecology nods. Poppies recede waste, a 2022 biodiversity green. Bees hum, a 2021 pollinator science buzz. Transient yet vital. Memory sticks. 90% link poppy to war, a 2020 cultural studies poll. Schools pin it, a 2021 education journal lesson. Time tests. Climate shifts bloom, a 2022 nature climate change watch. Yet it rises, a 2020 resilient science root. It's a mirror, too. Fragility amid ruin reflects them. Lies brief, bright, a 2022 philosophy muse. In every petal, there's a pledge. Honor the fallen, heal the living. It whispers. From mud comes memory, a bloom that won't forget. Blood red recall. The poppy, Papaverias, rises red, a remembrance for wars lost. From Flanders scars upon lapels, it marks sacrifice with fleeting grace. Next time you wear one, feel it, a flower not just blooming, but bearing the weight of souls. And so, our journey through the secret lives of plants drifts to a close, their whispers fading into the night, like leaves settling on soft earth. Feel your thoughts soften now, heavy as a seed sinking into soil, ready to rest. These green guardians, wheat and poppy, oak and lotus, stand watch over the world, and now over you. Their strength a lullaby, their beauty a blanket. Let your breath deepen in and out as the forest hums you toward sleep. The day is done. The secret's told. All that's left is quiet, a stillness as vast as a baobab shade. Drift now, gentle soul, into dreams where petals fall slow and roots hold you close. Good night. Sleep deep and let the plants cradle you till morning.